Hello and welcome to the Nash Tackle Off the Hook podcast. Just to make you aware, this podcast may contain some explicit/offensive language, and if that's not your thing, you don't have to listen, but I have given you a warning. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
You don't know the half of it, but anyway, I'm skating on the thinnest ice known to man. Like
he said, and they put a poison in the tank that just instantly kills them. He went, we've run out of it, so we cut their heads off with shovels.
Suddenly, bang! The whole boat exploded.
Take your sort of 8-inch long piranha and imagine that at 4, 5, maybe 6 feet.
I said, I've revived your dead fish. F off, he said. You haven't.
That was just humongous. It was. I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
I'm just battling this fish out, and I know it's a black man. I'm saying I'll never be a naughty boy again.
If you catch fish and you return them to the water, then you are my brother.
Welcome to the Nash podcast, and welcome to a conglomerate. I've got 4 of you, the most people ever in a podcast studio. Lionesses. I've got Aimee Eaton, Ellen Beedham, Kayleigh. I've got to get your surname right, Kayleigh, because last time you were Smith and now you're Dowd.
Hey.
Bev Clifford.
Hey.
Ladies, how are you? You well?
All good. All good.
Good. We are living the dream in some sort of mic passing type scenario whereby we haven't quite got enough mics for as many guests. I might have left a blue lead somewhere, but we're gonna get through this. We're all going handheld and old school. Thank you so much, first of all, for coming, because we're sort of spread across the North and the Midlands. Leicester, Ellen, big love, and fellow Leicesterian. We're going to talk all things ladies angling, but where I wanted to start, because it is pretty soon after the events, is the World Champs. Mega event for women's angling. Mega event in total. Talk me through, Gaffer first, getting that off the ground and actually the event happening.
Oof. Oof. I mean, how long have we got?
Yeah, we've got a long podcast, don't you worry.
I don't want to bore people with the details. Well, it was meant to happen the year of COVID. So we put the bid in after we had the very first World Cup. You have to have a World Cup before you have a World Champs for it to be ratified by Fips. So we had the World Cup in 2019 in France. We put the bid in to hold the first World Champs. We won the bid, and then COVID hit.
Nice.
Yeah. So that meant it didn't happen 2020, didn't happen 2021 again because there were still restrictions with travel for a lot of people, so people weren't going to be able to come over. And then, we got the dates for 2022. So there was a lot of work behind the scenes. Big shout out to Aimee Emery, Nick Maddox's sister. She is event organising extraordinaire. If it had been left to me and Husey, it'd have just been a bit like the BCSE, to be honest, with me thrown in.
Nice. Honest, but nice.
We'd have pulled it out of the bag, because we always do, but it would have been a no frills affair. She kept me and Rob in check with the things we needed to do, and she did an outstanding job of making it an amazing event. So there was a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. Anybody that does events knows that events don't come together overnight. So, I think there was about 8 months of work behind the scenes.
Jeez.
There we go.
Was it always going to be Linear as a sort of a place to host it, or not?
It's a difficult one. Like, yes, Linear is the home of carp fishing in England. You think of the biggest etiquette in England, in the world, it's Linear, isn't it? There's no more written about, filmed on, spoken about, recorded about, photographed venue in the world. It's, there is no secrets. So me and Rob had reservations about hosting it there because there is no secrets. And ideally, if you're going to host a World Champs, you'd like to have some kind of secrets on the venue. Yeah. But you put it on Linear and there is no secrets. So we did think at times about looking trying to have it somewhere else, but there's nowhere really big enough, and that's the thing. And this is why we needed to host it first before it gets any bigger, because there isn't any. We don't have the big reservoirs, we don't have the big public waters like they do in Europe and they do in the other countries. So it was now or never really, because next year it will be too big. We couldn't have hosted it anyway. We still already had to have it across 2 lakes, which isn't ideal because of some of the Fips rulings that you've got to abide by. So there was, we had to make tweaks and things like that. It wasn't it was always going to be Linear, but me and Rob had reservations that we could have easily got well and truly dusted up on our own turf.
Yeah, which wouldn't have been a great PR move, potentially, would it?
Nobody wants to get dusted up on their own turf, do they?
Definitely not. But fair play. It got off the ground, a lot of help. In essence, getting it to that point, absolutely stressful. A lot of strain on you in terms of having to deal with a team selection as well as doing all that, because there is a lot of work involved.
Yeah, I would not recommend to a friend. If there's any other managers out there in the world listening to this that think, oh, we're going to put a bid in to host the World Champs, like, one, you need an Aimee, and two, I would suggest that you don't try and get involved with the event organising yourself and you just leave it to somebody else.
Yeah, fair. Good.
But then
comment.
I like to medal. So.
And ladies, you obviously fished it. Let's get a brief rundown intro. Let's start with Aimee over here. Pass the mic over to Aimee. Aimee.
Oh, yeah.
You probably the newest member of the team or one of the new members of the team?
Yeah, definitely one of the newest. I trialled out last November 2021. So, yeah, very recent.
But your fishing background, you can probably tell by the twang and the subtitles, which I'll put on the bottom here. Wolverhampton, Midlands through and through, are you? Yeah. And your fishing has been, where has it been, Aimee, primarily?
To be honest with you, as a kid, it was like local council pools, canals, that kind of stuff. And then since I went big into my carp fishing, club waters, like Western Under Lizards, pretty close. Used to do a bit on there, but last few years where it's been really serious, I've spent time on the RH waters, Rob Ailes Syndicate. I've been on the Sitch for the last 3 years.
Oh, nice.
I just dropped it last year.
Right, nice. Caught some good fish from the Sitch. Enjoyed it?
Enjoyed
Beautiful.
it. Had some nice fish. There's still fish in there that I'd like to have, and I'll definitely be going back. I ain't completed it yet, so yeah.
Nice. Ellen, for you, you've obviously sort of been in the team before and been in the setup. Was it a bit more added sort of emphasis, the fact that it was at home and the fact that there'd been a lot that had gone on preceding with regards to the Lionesses in the football and sort of generally escalating the profile of women's angling?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot more pressure when you're at home. And I kind of learnt to carp fish at Linear, so I felt pressure potentially even more because I did a lot of fishing down there before it got quite so busy, yeah. So obviously everybody's like pumped up. We want to win. We want gold. It's our home turf. And then everybody's related, yeah, as you say, back to the Lionesses with the football. They went out, they did it. Can we do it? Can we bring it home? So there was all that pressure on us as well. But I think as a team, we know that when push comes to shove, we can pull together and pull it out the bag.
Nice. You did a very good job, which we'll come to. Kayleigh, last but not by no means least, you've got, I'd say, sort of a mix of like coarse come carp fishing background. You were a very proficient coarse angler. You were fishing the National on the weekend, weren't you? So that you sort of split. For you, with regards to the carp side and the whole women's angling thing, do you think that there potentially has been more movement, especially with the world champs and stuff, in the carp side of things as opposed to the coarse? Have you seen that?
Yeah, definitely. Like the carp side, I know Bev does a really good job with Ladies Carp Academy, and I've been fortunate to help out at a few of them. And just seeing the amount of women coming through who have really good ability and being able to go out and fish on their own, and just being down Linear quite a lot, obviously practicing. And it's not unusual to walk around the lakes and you'll see women on the lakes fishing now as well, whereas I've been doing it obviously at this level for not very long, probably the last few years. And since I started a few years ago up until now, there's definitely been a large improvement in that side that I can see. What
took you to the dark side of carp fishing from coarse? Because you started coarse fishing, match fishing, didn't you?
Rob Hughes.
Rob Hughes?
Yeah. So,
talk to me about this process.
So I've always done a bit of carp fishing. So our carp fishing, me and Adam, since we got together, we used to go, but only for like a weekend or two a year sort of thing. And then I was fishing the UK Champs, which is a course match, and Rob films it for BT. And it was at Barston was the last one, and I know Rob through when I was with Matrix and he was with Fox, and he knew that I was quite into carp fishing, or did a little bit. And it was him who pulled me and said, have you ever thought about it? I said, well, I can't hit them distances, so not really. He's like, oh, you'll be fine. He's like, if you want, he said, come along. And then I went along to Girton, caught a few fish there when I saw Bev and Ellen and spoke to them, and Bev and Ellen very kindly took me under a wing and said, I'll take you out and we'll get you up to scratch. And
Yeah.
I'm getting there, and I've beat her once or twice, so
Nice.
good standard.
And you two obviously fish together as a pair, you ladies, in one section. With regards to sort of the actual selection, I'll probably come back to you, Bev, on this. Aimee talked about getting selected, talked about that whole process. For you, obviously there's a lot of pressure on the event. We've talked about the fact that it's at home, it's at Linear, it's very synonymous. There's a lot of pressure on getting gold with everything that's gone on. Selection, easy process, difficult process?
Really difficult process.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult process, and a lot of other people have a very different opinion on how you would pick a team and how a team works, and how subs work. People seem to think that being a substitute is a bad thing, but actually, in I know mine and Rob's eyes as well, we sort of refer to them as like a super sub, because you're keeping back something that you don't know where you're going to need it, kind of thing, because it's not like, you've got all your players on a football pitch and you know where they're going. The way the draw works is completely random, and you don't get to put your anglers that are suited to certain styles of fishing, which would be better in specific swims, in those swims. It's all because it's all random. So, for example, my best chucker, Ellen, was stuck on Hardwick Smiths. She'd be better on B2 in the swim where there was a long chuck.
How far did you chuck that bag at Naysby? What was that, Ellen? It was long, wasn't it?
I hit the clip easy at 30, so it was going. It was going.
Nice. Yeah, so you can chuck. Your best chuck is Ellen, but she was on. Oh, but yeah, so not ideal.
You're not getting the potential out of. So you need to keep something in the bag. So if things aren't working out in specific swims, you've got something to play with. Essentially, you've got moves on a chessboard to do. So when it comes to picking to the team, it's like, well, you look for people who work well together, people who are well. You don't want somebody that's been poorly for a long period of time going into a 72-hour endurance match. People seem to think it's just fishing. Well, yeah, it is fishing, but it's also a 72-hour endurance match. You need to be fighting fit, you need to be well. They need to be able to be in a confined space together for 72 hours. The fishing needs to be on form. They need to be in a good headspace. If you've been through a really troublesome year, you get 48 hours into a match and you've had 20 minutes sleep, it's all going to come back to the top of your head if, you've still not dealt with it. There's so many things to consider when you're thinking, out of all my players, all my squad, who are we going to put on that starting lineup? It's not just, and that people think it's like, oh, who's the best angler? It's like, it's not. It's who's the best for that team at that time on that venue.
Yeah.
And then, who are we going to have as the subs? Who might we need with their skills to go in? And it's not, it might not be who can cast the furthest. We need somebody's cast. It might be somebody with some energy to throw into a swim that, they've had a couple of bad things go on and we need somebody to go in and spruce it up and bring it back to life. It's not like normal carp fishing. I cannot think of the amount of times I've tried to explain that to people. Like, it's not like normal carp fishing at all.
So the substitute situation.
Yes.
When you're in a match, you start with your free pairs.
Yes.
Yeah. They're set. They could be anywhere. You don't know. They're going to be randomly put in a section. So you don't know what the swim is. You don't know what's going on. If you make a substitution, is there only one substitution allowed?
So you can make 2 substitutions throughout the 72-hour match.
Okay. If you sub, let's say I've got Ellen, and another pair have drawn the bowl or whatever it be.
I can't take her out and put her in somewhere else. No.
Once she's out, she's out.
Yeah. Can't start moving.
Otherwise, I'd have been in.
Otherwise, we'd have moved.
Yeah, I'd have been in the bowl. Yeah, I'd have been in the bowl instead of sit on my hands on Smith.
I was going to start with a go at management and sort of get the real deal, but realistically, there's not a lot you can do there, is there?
You can do, no, you're stuck.
What are the rules in terms of Fips that are sort of limiting? Obviously, we know Linear, and I know everybody here that has fished Linear will know that worm does incredibly well. Fishing there, you're not allowed live bait. Yeah, exactly. What, anything else? What about, this is what I don't understand. If fish go out of water, what's the situation with all that?
So if a fish went out of, say, Ellen and Kayleigh had a fish on, and the fish swam into next door's swim while they're playing it, and next door wanted to cast over and hook it and wind it in, it would then become their fish.
Oh my, what a free for.
And if it touched their lines, then they could ask for that fish to be disqualified as well.
So if your fish kited, and it touched their lines,
they can ask for that fish to be
foul hooked fish count.
That is true. Did that happen? Did anybody chuck over your lines?
No, we had quite a lot of space. We couldn't see. We could see the Dutch to our left. Okay. We couldn't even see them. We were fortunate. We had a lot of space, but on tighter matches, I could imagine it's a problem.
That is a mare. That sounds pretty ruthless, doesn't it?
Yeah,
chucking over your line.
We had a match. It's not like catfishing.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, isn't it? Go on. Sorry, no.
Saying we had a match at Thorpe where we were really close, Tri-Nations, and the Dutch were doing that every time. We literally, every single fish cast left without fail, and they were throwing marker rods over our lines. That caused a few issues, shall we just say?
Jeez. Is that like...
We had to have the peacekeepers in.
Is that frowned? I don't know. That's not frowned.
It's not really, good etiquette, is it? But...
I don't know. It seems pretty ruthless here, mate.
Yeah. I didn't like it, being on the receiving end of it, but it's
not
in the rules.
Something we'd really deploy as Team England.
Aimee, would you do it if someone came in your swim and you needed a fish?
I like etiquette. I'd be well against it, but if the gaffer said chuck that marker float over that fish, then I'd be chucking it.
There's a newcomer. She's not been in Wolverhampton long. I like etiquette. Kayleigh, you definitely do it. Leeds is like, that's all over.
I mean, if it means winning.
Yeah. You're a match angler. You don't care. No, I'm joking. But that is, I didn't realise that was a rule as well. Anything else in there that sort of restricted that sort of textbook linear style of angling? No? Zigs? You're allowed zigs, aren't you? Nothing around zigs.
Yeah, zigs are allowed, but not with zig firm.
Not with foam.
Yeah, not with liners. Yeah, not with the liners. We can use firm, but not with zigger liners, not with the plastic bits.
Oh, okay.
You can't use your.
And
there's a depth rule. So you can't use like
surface essentially.
Zigs. Yeah, you can't use over depth zigs.
Right. Okay. So that's out.
No surface fishing. Not that you'd associate linear with surface fishing.
I'd say the main one's probably the spodding rule.
Yeah, so you can't spod between the hours of...
It was 6 and 8.
Yeah, so it finishes at 6 p.m. and then you can't spod all the way through the night until 8 a.m. in the morning.
So you can't spod through the night?
No, so even if you catch a fish, you can't re-top it. You can use a catapult or a throwing stick or throw in by hand, but you're not allowed to spod or put a line
so you can
over
use a throwing stick?
Yeah.
Or a catapult?
I think, is it a rod and line? You can't use a rod and line to bait up.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a minefield. If you're fishing as a pair, is there 6 rods out in a swim?
4.
4, so there's 2 each?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of team dynamics, you guys can obviously speak because you work together. How do you split that, or how do you organise that? Do you take care of your 2 rods? Do you take care of your 2 rods? Do you work as a team?
No, we work as a team, and literally we were quite lucky this time because the swim was quite big. We had 2 at one side and 2 at the other. But it wasn't like mine and Ellen's rods. Literally, they're all marked up. Ellen did most of the casting. I did more like wrapping up and tying bags. And if there's any like little short chucks or all, I'd do them. But because Ellen's spot on at long casting and spodding, and that's what she loves doing. We've played to each other's strengths and like I keep it all organised and be like, that one's ready to go there, and Ellen deploys it. So
just go that there. Okay.
It doesn't matter whose rod's who's like.
Nice.
And
I like this.
Whoever's at the fish first, so when the alarm goes, it's not like, oh, it's yours, get it. It's whoever's closest.
Yeah, you're doing it as a team.
Gets it, yeah.
Aimee, for you, who did you partner in the event?
I went in with Tony.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you fish much preceding the actual start of the event? Have you fished much before as a pair?
Not as a pair, no. So Sam and Tony are quite a well-established pairing. So yeah, to go in as a sub, I hadn't fished in a pair with Tony at all. I'll get on with Tony. She's sound. You couldn't not get on with her. You know? But so it was nice. Like everybody on the team. I know I could have slotted in with anybody. But she was an absolute joy to fish with. Where did you
stunt for? Where did you go?
I ended up in the bowl, so B5. Ended up in the bowl, and we were chucking 26.5.
Okay.
And managing to pull fish in the daytime, which none of the other that section, no fish were coming in the daytime. But then at night, me and Tony were like just seeing lights come up all around the section, and we couldn't pull a fish at night for me. But then we were having day runs, and nobody else wasn't.
Yeah, so quiet through the night. In terms of you two, obviously being relatively new to the setup and your first sort of match, how did you find that nerves wise and sort of? I mean, I know they're going to be nervous because everybody's going to be. It's a big occasion, but for you, it's a complete unknown, isn't it?
It felt massive. Like actually going when I was driving down to Oxford, I knew that I was going to something special. Do you know what I mean? But then actually turning up on the venue and feeling the atmosphere there, Hass, was like electric. And very, very quickly you realised this is big, and there's pressure involved, and you just want to perform like you're representing your country at something that you actually love. Like there's passion there for the sport in itself, let alone add the England flag, the St George, like just takes it to next level. So yeah, it felt big, but to be honest with you, like you're fishing, ain't you? And if you love fishing, you turn up and you fish, and that's what I did. And like, yeah, I did some focus work and that, like I have to, but.
What's this focus work?
I just listened to Fleetwood Mac. It ain't nothing special.
You big
She was ready to go in, and honestly, mate, so me and Rob were coming down. I think we'd been to see something, and I think we'd been to actually tell Sam that she was coming out and Aimee was going in, which is never hard. It's hard making this substitution.
Yeah.
They think they've done something wrong, and it's like, you've not done anything wrong. We're making this decision so we can try and win a gold for the team. It's like everything's for the team. But they are, there's always that personal thing where they think they've done something wrong. It's like, you've done nothing wrong. We just need to keep going forward, and we feel like we've come a bit stale in this swim, and we're going to make a substitution to try and move things forward. So then Aimee knew she was going in, so she's coming down and she's got her earphones in, and me and Rob were coming back up, and it was like, you ready to go in? She was like, yeah, I'm just listening to some tunes. Just listening to my revving up tunes. So you're expecting like something, I don't know, like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, some like, I mean, I'd have like really like, epic dance tunes on.
Epic Dance Volume 1.
Me and Rob were like,
it's carp fishing, innit? You gotta chill.
Yeah. You want to get revved up, so you want to chill.
Yeah, it's Fleetwood Mac as long as you follow. It works every time.
Does it?
Yeah.
Whatever works. Like if it gets you in the zone.
Yeah.
And how, with regards to how it panned out for you, were you straight in, settled and happy, or was there sort? I mean, it's always going to be hard coming into that. Or you're like,
don't even go there.
What's happening now?
So I got into Peg, and like me and Tony had a chat, like where the spots were and that kind of stuff. And Tony, there was just a miscommunication initially. So my first chuck of the competition, Tony's gone, right, so see that tree there? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, we're going to the left of the bivvy to the left. And I was like, right, so that's that tree there, next peg there, and there's a bivvy to the left. Whack! Chuck it out there, and I think that's gone towards that bivvy. And like, there's just silence. And I turned around, and like, Tony's standing there, like Rob's standing there, and they're looking at each other like, what the hell is going on here? And she meant like, that swim with that tree in the bivvy to the left-hand side of that peg. So I was like a peg off it. But I styled it out and put it on the rest, and then when
that'll do.
Yeah. So, and then as soon as like everybody disappeared, I was like, Tony, I'll rechuck that now. So, and then once we got in the groove and the rhythm, it worked. It was sweet.
What was the groove and the rhythm? Talk me through, because obviously you've drawn a very different lake and area to these guys. So for you, what was, you're saying you're having bites in the day, what was successful in terms of when you fed, what you fed, rigs and the rods that were doing the bites?
So to be honest with you, when I first got into the swim, there hadn't been a fish off for a bit. There'd been one in the morning, something like that. I went in on the early afternoon. So I think there'd been one fish off. And yeah, we just got into the groove. Like, Town's a good chucker. She can chuck like, she's a big chucker like Ellen. I ain't a massive, massive chucker. But I could hit the distance that we needed to in there. And to
were you
be
fishing
honest,
26 wraps, did you say?
26 and a half we was out
okay,
at.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of weed. Brazen House full of weed. And there was a decent spot out there. So that's where we were going. But yeah, once I got in, we could share the chucks, which was nice. And then we put some zigs out and just fed a spot, and we noticed that the spot, to be honest with you, I responded to bait. So it was like have a fish and then a couple of spoms back out over the top. And it was usually after a bit of spomming that
you got
we'd pull the bites. And I think, to be honest with you, Hass, that's probably why we don't manage nighttime bites, because we couldn't do what was working through the day. Like, I think if we could have just kept food, like the particle stuff, going out over the top in the night.
Were you fishing classic sort of linear bit mix, bit of particle, a bit of crush boilie and the likes of, yeah?
It ain't rocket science, is it? It's tried and tested and it works on there.
Definitely. But the other sort of ladies that were catching through the night, anything different in terms of, because obviously you've got an eye on all the time. These guys are around and probably no doubt in the back of swims and having a look as well. But do you think, like, was there anything they were doing that was different to you guys with regards to why they potentially were getting bites through the night?
In regards to like the others on the section on the opposite side and stuff, it's too far for you to see. Do you know what I mean? But
Right.
Ukraine was down to mine and Tony's right hand side, and what had happened in that match is the causeway got closed off. And actually, that created a little bit of a safe haven down that end. So a peg that wouldn't have really, you wouldn't have considered it had been a flyer. The fish were stacked,
Held up, yeah.
down there. And Ukraine, to be honest with you, in the night, you heard the throwing stick regular. Well, they pulled a fish. All of a sudden, lights go on all the way around the section, and all you hear is boom, boom, boom. Like everybody just gets on the same tactic. Like it was 1 o'clock in the morning, Rob's standing in mine and Tony's peg, and he's like throwing stick, and me and Tone 1 o'clock in the morning was joining in the party and just trying to bag a bite. Like, you do what you got to do.
Saving Private Ryan if you're a Simo in there, isn't it? What is
Yeah. It was really something like to see and be a part of. It was wicked.
Yeah. Fair play. I mean, coming in can't be easy. For you, Bev, the decision to do that, you talked about it not being easy, but they said there was one fish in the morning. What do you think that it needed to sort of turn that round? What did it need?
Sam and Tony were both tired.
Were they?
Like, that was, you could see that, like, they were tired. Just, you can, when you went into the swim, like, you just know when somebody's tired, don't you? And it's just like, we need some energy in there. We need some, something to spruce it up. And Tony was the bigger chucker, so we needed to keep the bigger chucker in. Because if we suddenly needed to go out even further than we were fishing, if we took Sam, brought Tony out and left Sam in, we weren't going to be able to get any further. So it was, and also, you put Aimee in and she could run around, do a load of work and let Tony have a bit of a rest, so that if we did need Tony just to be chucking, she had a bit more energy. And it's, there's certain things, conserving energy. Like, I always remember Bart telling me in the very first, I think it was the very first Anglo-Welsh match that we did, and he was like, make sure all the girls have the rods up high. And because we're fishing on Barston, so you're getting bite after bite in it, so that you're not bending down every single time.
Yeah.
Pick the rod up, you're just picking the rod up from there. If you think you're having bite after bite, and how many times you're picking your rod up and resetting it, and all that wasted energy, when you're not having any sleep, and it's logical, like, I understand that, you can relate that to any kind of endurance thing. You conserve energy where you can to expend it somewhere where you need it.
Yeah, definitely.
So putting somebody in that's had some sleep, that's, raring for it, ready to go, she could run around like a blue ass fly, which she does brilliantly anyway. And Tony could have a bit of a nana. Tony could have a bit of a nana nap.
Yeah, well, fair dues, but you're recognising that and making that call, which I guess is not easy. For you, with regards to the other nations, and I'll ask you ladies as well, was there any particular nation that you thought, well, realistically, they've got a better chance with regards to what I've seen before of that nation or those anglers or whatever? Who was the sort of main competition, if you like?
So we'd obviously, there was plenty of nations there that we'd not actually seen on seen compete, so we didn't know. And we knew they'd be good, because we know if the men's teams are good, generally the women's team are going to be good. They're going to, be trained by the same kind of guys. They're going to be the same elk. They're going to fish the same style. And walking around, it was really interesting to see. The Europeans are so accurate. Like, they're so drilled when it comes to accuracy. They maybe weren't fishing as far out, but they were accurate, like Tom Maker style accurate, like unbelievably accurate. But we were really cautious of the French, because we'd obviously had the World Cup in France, and the French were good. They were like really well good, and the French are like quite tactical, and like they play mind games. So beforehand, like, everybody's there and it's all like celebration of the sport, and the French keep themselves to themselves. They don't really get involved beforehand with the fun and
what, it's just complete standoffish, yeah?
Pretty cold. Yeah, like, you will only see them when you have to see them. So even when it comes to like the draw and stuff like that, you don't see the team, you'll just see the managers. And the team, right, weren't really, you'll see them at the parade beforehand, but they won't really get involved, and they'll all keep themselves. It's very like tactical mind gamey. But then afterwards, they're all lovely, and it's all, nice and brilliant. Yeah, when it's all done and it's out the way. but it's what works as a team, isn't it? You know, and it's like we've seen some other teams will, have a drink at the opening ceremony. Ours is no alcohol before the event, like.
Apart from you lot.
Yeah, apart from me and Husey. Me and Husey went on a wild night out on Whitney.
The party capital that is Whitney, Oxford. Yeah.
Husey did get a little bit tipsy at the after party.
Oh, it's allowed though, isn't it?
Not very often you see Rob Hughes walking around with a bottle of Little Rosé under his arm.
Little Rosé.
So here's a story, event organisation dramas.
This is what we're here
Aimee
for.
had been really, really organised. Thought the best way to buy all the booze for the closing ceremony was to she did Morrison's order.
Right.
Nice and easy. So we picked it all. Me and Rob and her conferred. Aimee put the order in. It was going to be delivered to the school in Whitney where we had the closing ceremony. Brilliant. It's all sorted, isn't it? Lovely.
Done.
Day of the closing ceremony, Aimee gets an email from Morrison's. We've cancelled your order. You've done what?
You slated Morrison's on a podcast as well, mate. That was my attempt.
Morrison's support.
We co-op here. We're all right.
Not supporting the Lionesses there, are they?
They're not.
So you can imagine that was a little bit of what are we going to do? No, it's a hot foot. It's a little, didn't we? Straight after the event, before the ceremony, I was so tired. Like, I can't even tell you how tired. Clanking around Lidl.
Lidl is no place, is it?
I think there was me, Aimee, Lauren Stanford, and Burnsy clonking round Lidl buying booze.
Wow. What have you got a pot? Yeah, we're just an elite car fishing team.
Just an elite car fishing team.
But it's all alcohol. No, we're elite. Proper athletes here.
I'm stood on because obviously it's Lidl, isn't it? So they just like pile it high on the what's it called? It comes straight off the pallets, on the pallets. And I'm stood on the pallet like pulling these bottles of wine out into the trolley.
Class.
Event organiser to manager to event organiser.
This is after the event, so we can let you off there.
The event, yeah.
Ladies, for you, any nations, any sort of, when you were looking around fishing as well, anybody that you sort of looked at and you thought were surprised by or were really sort of threatened by for what you could see?
It was quite difficult from where we were on Smiths. We had the Dutch one side of us and Hungary the other side, and we couldn't really see what they were doing. But obviously we got spotters going around the lake telling us what were happening, and I was quite surprised by the Latvians that were on our section. So if you imagine Hardwick, they're on the road bank side of Hardwick in the first couple of swims, and they literally were just filling it full of boilie, fishing quite crudely into the weed, and they won the section. They had the biggest fish out in the lake. You know, everybody else like goes down to Hardwick, find the little spot on a bar. You know, lots of little bait and like fish delicately on top of it. No, they just smashed into the weed and caught some seriously big fish. And it just shows you, doesn't it? Just shows like the variety in carp fishing, and we think we know it all on these lakes.
Were they fishing long? Not particularly? Just
I couldn't see them, but it was very weedy, the road bank side of Hardwick. I can't imagine they were fishing particularly long, 20, 25 wraps. I should imagine absolute maximum. But they were just, chods just hammered into the weed with loads of bait. And I think it was even tiger nuts on the chods.
I've caught a fair few fish like that over the years. Just fishing into the weed with
by mistake.
No, purposely.
But it's
thrown over the top.
But it's just interesting. But it just shows you, doesn't it? We think we got to go. You got to find a little like dinner plate, and no, you haven't. These carp are carp, aren't they? If they're hungry, they're going to eat.
There's that element, and there's also that classic carpy element of saying, "Oh, they've done something a little bit different, haven't they?" And it's worked out for them. But we've caught loads on pub chuck jolly. There's nothing wrong with that. What about you, Kayleigh? Anybody in particular that you sort of had your eye on maybe before, or any nation? Did you think like obviously there's a Dutch and the French look like? For me, immediately, Ukraine, I had no idea would even, with everything that's going on, would even submit a team to be able to fish. So fair play.
There's a really cool story behind that. So obviously the really cool story is that they could actually get out of the country to come and to compete. But obviously they from where they come from, they need visas to travel to this country and they need visas to get in. So the week before the event, they still didn't have their visas through. The Ukrainian manager was contacting Aimee So, Aimee, can you please help us? Can you please help us? Like, heartbreaking messages to read. We really want to come. We've not got our visas. So Aimee's ringing up the bloody Home Office here, like,
God,
hounding people. And they're like, oh, there's nothing we can do. You know, it's just in the system. And Aimee's like, please, there's got to be something you can do. You've got to be something you can do. Anyway, somebody somewhere must have got through to the right person, because all of them, apart from 2, came through. And they were like, brilliant, we can get 4 girls over. 2 of them haven't come through yet, but, you know, we'll still come, and whatever will be, will be. And we'll just hope that the other two come in time and they can fly over. So anyway, Aimee, being the amazing person that she's continuously ringing the Home Office, she got through to somebody somewhere, because the other 2 visas came through in time. So there was not only the fact that they're leaving their, you know, war-torn country to get here and leaving, you know, loved ones behind fighting on the front line. They also had all the problems with the visas. I mean, when they got here, some of the girls had not seen each other for, you know, like 9 months. So they were hugging, and the immersion that was there between that team was unbelievable.
All I've taken out of that is that Aimee's cost us a gold medal. That's all I've taken out of it.
And I also did say at the start, do you know, in like, I believe in like positive manifestation and things like that, and like what you put out, you get back and things. And I said, I was like, well, there's one team that I wouldn't mind losing to, it's Ukraine.
Oh.
Right.
Well, fair play. Absolutely fair play to them. I'm only joking about them not coming over. Kayleigh, you, nations-wise, anything sort of, did you have any sort of expectations or anything of anybody else fishing there?
To be honest, Hass, I had no idea. It's the first event that I'd ever done with the carp side. Obviously, where we'd drawn, apart from looking at people and thinking they look like they might be able to cast, I had no other insight. We couldn't actually see the anglers from where me and Ellen were. You might see the odd spod going from Hungary to our right. We could see nothing to do with the Dutch to his left. But yeah, like I say, I'd not seen, apart from what I've heard from when they were out in France about the French being really good and accurate and on it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I didn't have any expectations of any of them, because even the carp side on the men's, I'm not that up to scratch with what I know the Europeans can cast, and the girls must be decent to fish at that level. But yeah, so it was an eye opener.
Focus on your own, yeah. Fair, I like that. And for you, how did the match pan out? Obviously, you were swapped in. You talked about things sort of, kicking off during the day. The section where you were fishing, how did you get on over the course of obviously the event? How did it go?
I think Sam and Tony managed to start catching in their second day on there in that section. So, and I don't think there was any particular team absolutely having it off on there. Like the point on Brasenose too, it's a well-known swim and that. And to be honest with you, on the first day, it was like dolphin show in front of Holland and Wales. That was wicked to watch, like stand back and watch. But it must have been frustrating for the girls, because like they're just boshing out in front and they weren't having run after run.
Were they not?
So like as I had the privilege of getting to like have a walk around and a look at everybody in the first day, like Kayleigh, because I hadn't done it before. I know that they'd said like the French are a decent team. You walked in behind the French peg and like they just literally stop work, like rods go down and they just disappear off into the bivvy and don't really start again until you've disappeared. But
he's French, a very secret squirrel.
Yeah, they was on it with that.
The Dutch was something else. They wouldn't even let
what clogs on.
Clogs on.
Forget Crocs. They're so last year.
Nash clogs.
Oi,
We're
not the trade show episode. Come on.
Damn it.
What, they were proper?
So because the media team was primarily English, we obviously had Bonesy, Ben filming, who English. All the photographers were English. Obviously, we've organised the event. The majority of the media team that we've pulled together are going to be. And some of the other nations had brought their, a media guy with them or a media lady.
Okay.
But because they were English, the Dutch were paranoid, and the Dutch are very sticklers for the rules. They are very on it. But they wouldn't let any of them. So the media can't automatically go in pegs. They have to be invited in, and they wouldn't let any of the media into the pegs.
Wow. How'd you get an invite into a peg? You just ask them?
So you can only be... So this is another thing. So when you're in your peg, swim, whatever you want to call it, but we call them pegs because of the matches, because they're pegged out, aren't they, really? So you've got the tin.
Go on.
Swims are very, relaxed, social,
Yeah.
going fishing for yourself. Peg, serious, match, game face.
Yeah.
Liking it.
Carry on.
So it's taped out. So you have the tape where whoever's fishing in that peg, they're not allowed to leave that unless they get a steward, and then they have to say, "I need to leave the peg." The only reason you'd need to leave is if you needed to go to the toilet, like emergency toilet, like you've got the shits or something, you're going out, aren't you?
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just going to poo in your bivvy. So you have to ask a steward, then they have to escort you, and if it is the toilet, they have to go in, they have to check the toilet's empty, then you can go into the toilet then.
Wow.
Because you could be derping, or somebody could have left something in the toilet for you to take into the swim. There could be all sorts going on. Scandalous, mate. Scandalous.
What is this women's elite sport?
Just could be anything, couldn't it? It could be kilo worm. Yeah, it could be anything.
Could be the horm. I've not said it. I've not said it.
Please,
I've not said it. That might get cut.
We'll leave the fun laughing after, and people wonder what they said there.
What they said there.
And then you've got a corridor around it. So you've got a second tape, and then there's obviously a corridor. So that's classed as the service corridor, really. So the only other people allowed into the peg with the anglers is the managers.
Yeah.
But it's only one manager at any time. And the only other people that are allowed in are the press. But the press have got to be okay to come in by
a manager
or the anglers. So they've got to come in. So obviously your way team, so the marshals. But again, the marshals have got to say, is it okay for us to come in? Because if you've got anything that you don't want them to see, and I don't mean illegal, banned substances or
like an edge that you might.
It's the edge. It's what you're using. It's make sure everything's tidy away, and because you don't want them to relay information. So that's the whole reason for that. Then you've got the corridor around, and that's again, press can stand in that corridor, but they can't go into the inner peg. So that's your class as your service corridor. So if you're getting food past, they can come into that corridor, stand in that corridor and pass your food over.
Is somebody watching this to make sure nobody all the time?
Yeah, the other teams will watch because they're constantly looking for things going on. You have people up on step ladders, prying into swims with binoculars and all sorts of crazy goings on.
Full on, isn't it?
I will repeat what I always say, it's not like carp fishing.
No, that is full on,
not
isn't it?
carp fishing. It's some of the weird kind of...
Yeah, we had the Dutch lying in the bushes opposite us with telescopes on us, to the point where one of the Dutch have said, "Oh, I believe this is your mum." Sent me a message on Messenger going, "I believe this is your mum. I think you might like the photo." There's a picture of my mum minding her own business, supporting us through a telescope. This photograph. It's just...
You can't send a photo of someone's mum.
I know, it's random, isn't it? And then one of the guys, wasn't it, Raymond? Raymond, he'd been lying in the bushes opposite. We didn't realise at the time. So he comes back round and I says, "What have you been doing? Watching me have a pee in my bivvy?" And he says, "No, but you do pee a lot."
That's weird.
It is weird, isn't it? It is weird. But the photograph...
Dutch, I thought the Dutch would be like a free, fun-loving sort of nation. Just crack on. No, mate, they're full on, aren't they?
Full on. But it's a competition. It's not...
Yeah, but there's
not social fishing, is
it?
It's not fun.
I'm not saying it's that, but when you've got people watching you go for a wee in your bivvy, that's a step too far.
It is a bit too far. It is a bit too
Raymond,
far.
that is niche. Unbelievable. But essentially, sorry, we're with you. In terms of how it panned out, you said you saw sort of craziness from the Dutch in the first few days with them not letting you see anything, the French being the same, but you got a sort of a general observation of what was going on in it before you got into actually fish, didn't you?
Yeah, you could definitely see the style that people were going for, if they were accurate, how far they were going, that kind of stuff. But there was a good level of angling. There's going to be at that level, isn't there? There's mistakes.
You see, I don't really know.
Do you know what? I got it's obviously we had a number of the men's team that came out and gave us a hand, and Graham Maybe came, Graham's Rob's assistant manager with the men's team. Great guy. I've known Graham years. Really, really nice guy.
Did he bring the dog? The Dave?
Big Dave. Epic carp dog. There's some carp dogs around, isn't there? Obviously, Kaiser included. But Big Dave
he's massive.
Yeah,
but he's really gentle and chilled.
Yeah, I think it must be quite hard being that big and heavy and...
Wouldn't know I'm 5 foot.
You seen how sad his head? Have you seen the size of his head? Imagine carrying that brain around.
He's a bull
all day.
mastiff, isn't he? He's a big bull mastiff. Yeah,
like
bless.
15 odd stone or something, isn't he? Anyway, Graham rang me the other day, and I was chatting away to him, and he said, it was a really nice sort of reflection thing that made me think. Because I can just I really reflect on stuff very often, and I'm like, right, what can we do next? What can we achieve next? Where can we go forwards? What can we improve? And I never sort of think, actually, what have we created? How far we've come? And he said, do you know what? He said, I went home after the event because I think he was there until the Friday. He said, I went home, and he said the next day, he said, I woke up and I was thinking to myself, it was like, it's pretty amazing. He said, he said, when I was younger and I was fishing, he said, I never thought I'd see a women's carp fishing world championships. He said, and not only that, he said the level of angler. He said, he said it's not like it's, poor level angling. He said the quality of the angling, he said, is absolutely outstanding. That's, I chat to many, people that have been in the sport a long time, and that often takes them back when they come and see it, or when this, they go out and see some of the ladies fishing, they're like, actually the level of angling is pretty good. It's like, yeah, we're not playing at it.
Yeah.
And I think it is that perception, because people seem to think, because there isn't that many women in fishing on, because it's not been around that long. So, but doesn't mean that, we're not as good and it's not better than any of the guys out there.
I think it's also because you don't see it.
No, you don't see it.
If I went to Naseby and saw Ellen casting, I've seen you fish, Kayleigh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, if you see it, you sort of know the characters, don't you? In the same way that you see Bart on Linear tearing it up, or you see Kev or Tom, like you see them and you know how good they are. You don't see the ladies. So when our nation, if you're in, especially if you're in the industry, you tend to, but the other nations, you just have no idea of what that could be, because the venues are so different. Linear fishing is quite specialised, especially when you're talking about potentially the use of like tight spots at relative range, compared to sort of European venues, big open expanses and reservoirs. Throwing stick, I dread to think how few throwing sticks are on sort of normally B1 and B2.
Oh, it's just not a thing, is it? You get the throwing stick out on there and the seagulls come.
Exactly.
And they use, a lot of the Europeans use solly balls, which is just something we don't use. And that's what worked for the Ukrainians. They were just throwing sticking them solly balls out. And they went from being in like 4th place on the last night, or might have been 5th place actually, I think they were further down, to catching, I think they had 7 bites, they lost 2 and they landed 5 in that last night, which just like shot them up.
Flipped it, yeah.
So it works, and we just, I was again talking to Graham afterwards, it was like, we just don't use those solid balls right, we're just not into it, are we? Because
Nash did them at a period of time, but I don't think we use them at
all. It's a European
now,
thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, again, they've beat us really with that tactic.
Back to you, Aimee. For you, when you got in and it panned out, was it the same spot, the same rods that were doing the bites, the same tactics, or did you have to make adjustments through the period of time?
Not necessarily. Like my first day in on the Friday, some fish come to the zigs and some fish come off the spot, and then on the Saturday morning when it was leading up to like whistle time, it was the spot that was rocking.
Was it on the bait? And in terms of where you were in the section, were you pretty well updated with what you needed to do, or where you were, or what were they looking for as a team overall?
Oh yeah, like Rob and Bev are on it. Like Rob had come down, I think. Oh, it was about 1 o'clock on that Saturday morning, and he says, "1 job, girls, 1 fish." Like they'll come and tell you, you got to get a fish. We need 1 fish from you.
Do you want to know that?
Yeah, of course you do.
Do
you? You're absolutely fired up for it anyway. Of course you want fish, but then when you've got your gaffers coming in saying, "We need this fish," it's just like another kick. Like it's.
Is it? Yeah. I think it depends on like your personality, doesn't it?
You want to achieve it anyway, and then for somebody to give you another kick, yeah. Like on the Friday night, Tony hadn't had a lot of sleep, so. I was fresh in. I stayed up that whole night, and we really, really needed a fish from that section. And like Rob let me about 2 o'clock in the morning. He says, "Freestyle, aim, get a bite.
Freestyle,
get a bite."
Going crazy.
And I worked all night just trying to scratch.
What were you
fish.
doing?
I found a new spot. It was lovely and clean and stuff. And mate, I was like oily sticks, everything, corn in little funnel webs covered in like goo and stuff so as it don't melt the bag and that, like any tactic that I could scratch that I know can just buy 1 bite, I was deploying them, and it just wasn't happening. But don't give up,
It weren't for a lack of effort.
No.
Do you think you could have overfished it? As in put too many leads out? Or no?
Nah, like I was really lucky. I was only chatting to Al a few days ago, and he's like, "What was your highlight?" And one of it was quite a solitary thing, like really on that Saturday morning, when Rob says like, "Just go for it, get a bite." I said to Tony like, "We need to find something off that spot." Like it was just doing nothing, and I literally says, "I'm going to go about 20 wraps towards that skyline marker." It was 2:00 in the morning, like, and I chucked this lead out, and it just went crack first time. So it was just like straight away, have a drag back, see how big this spot is. It just went. It was like, oh my God, how lucky is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just like wrap up and let's give it a go. And it was on the line, really. When I think about it, like how Brasenose kicks out into the bowl, that'd be the line where all those fish were like coming from the point and down to the bowl. So I was really hoping for the bite off that. I didn't produce, but yeah, just don't stop scratching, and that's a kick. We need one fish from you. You want to do it, don't you?
What about eating, sleeping, none of that?
I didn't sleep that night. Tone did. Eating, like, the caterers was wicked. The organisation, Bev ain't joking when she says, like, the organisation of it was spot on.
Well,
like, our tea got delivered.
No, that was Morrison's.
You should have had backer. I'd have thought you got an M&S. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a note
no
for
budget
next
for
time,
that.
innit? Yeah. It's a note for next time. But yeah, tea was like delivered to the peg. And to be honest with you, yeah, I ate mine cold because you're working, but you fed, didn't you? It's nice.
Yeah. Where did you finish up in that section then? How did you finish up overall?
Oh God, I don't know. Overall, I think like on the sheet it says like Tony and Aimee 13th or something.
Yeah. And
really, to be honest, it should be like Sam's name there. She did the hours in there and did the work. So, but yeah, 13th that our peg came in at.
How many fish in total? Do you remember?
Oh God, I can't remember.
You have 5 fish in
yours. Yeah, something like 5 on it.
To what? What was the biggest you had in there?
Oh, I can't remember the weight.
If you want them, I think I printed them off.
Punishing you for some statistics.
I can't remember the weights. You
No,
think
fair
like you're
dues.
absolutely buzzing. You land
not
a
weight
fish. They weigh them in
catfishing.
kilos, and they tell you what your fish weighs in
they weigh 'em
kilos.
in
Straight away, I'm like,
kilos.
that means nothing to me. Like,
Do you know what the weird thing is as well? It's like the fish on the bank is the not important.
Yeah,
it's
done,
like
isn't it?
it's
Get
like
back
just
out.
get the fish in the net, get the rod back out. Don't worry about the fish. And then they're like, "Can we come in and do the fish?" It's like, yeah, in a bit. It's like
Yeah, I
that
need to
is
try and
not. It's
maximise
not.
the bite time. Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
fishing
yeah.
down on the church for lovely scaly fish, and we all want to get in a nice picture. It's like, yeah, right. Let's get the picture done quick. Back, yeah. It's
Pictures as well. Yeah.
you have to have a picture with the boarding. The rules of Fips have to have a picture with the
There's
boarding.
a lot of rules. I'd be a nightmare.
You would be a nightmare.
We wouldn't have had 5 fish weighed in that section, I'll tell you, if I was in charge of this.
The week before God knows how many times I've read the Fips rules. I think it was like 2 days before I was on the bike at home, like reading the rules, get the rules in, like everybody. It's like, make sure you've read the rules again.
Ladies, you two, Ellen and Kayleigh, for you, how did it? You had a tough. Well, it didn't really fish brilliantly well, but you had a tough do all round, didn't you? Really?
Yeah. When we drew C-section, we were like, "That's all right. That's all right. Get the Hardwick side. We'll be happy." We had practiced in Smiths as well, and we weren't that disappointed. We know we were wanted.
You were super disappointed.
Okay, I wanted to be on B2 and smashing it, but hey. So we had to make the most of what we got, and then when it came out, we were in the middle of Smiths. We were like, okay, we'll get in there. We'll scratch. We'll do what we need to do.
Yeah.
So the first afternoon, we kind of got in there. It passed really quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then we sat up the first night. Literally, we needed the fish to tell us where they were. Were there any fish in there? We needed to tell us where they were. So we sat like, because it went quite cold the first night. So we sat on our chairs, back legs rocked under, with a thermal blanket over us, watching where all the carp were.
I think they're having a lovely time, aren't they?
Come on, you got to be comfortable.
You've gone from Aimee and Bev talking about the very highs and lows of elite international sport.
Yeah.
I'm
We got
sitting
a
with
thermal
heated blanket,
blanket.
having a look.
Yeah.
It's a different world over on Hardwick
It
Smiths.
is. It is a different world to B2, isn't it?
That type of international I could do.
Yeah. So then, but the only time we caught the fish was when there was a wind on the water. So 2 of the 3 days, it was flat calm. There wasn't a ripple on the water. The Thursday, there was a good wind, and that's when we caught all our fish. And then it literally we just couldn't buy a bite. You know, I was they're putting bags into tiny little holes on the far margin. You think, that's got to be a bite. It's got to be nothing. We tried, didn't we?
Yeah, we had like 2 halves of the swim. So we had one side where we knew we had a really good spot that were hard, and we knew fish come off of it from the other side.
Was that a bar?
Sense?
Was that on top of a...
Yeah, on top of a bar, and that's the one that produced 2 fish. And then the left-hand side, we managed to nick a fish off there, just on a bit of gravel that we found, and a fish showed next to it. Literally, we chucked to the spot that we knew, and it went within half hour. So
was that on a solid or just...
Yeah, on a solid, yeah. But as other times, we were spent like chasing fish, so you see the odd one, you chuck at it, chuck zigs, but we knew the contours of the lake because we'd obviously had a good marker, so we knew at that distance we need to be this depth or you can chuck a bag or there's weed there. Whereas the other side, we just left that really quiet, put us a bit of bait out, and that's the one that produced 2 fish. So we worked really hard at one side of the swim and sort of left the other side quiet to nick the odd fish that came through.
Tough, that, isn't it? So you had 3 fish in total, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of the whole section, it didn't fish brilliantly. How many fish were caught?
Out of the Hardwick side, that fished much better, but obviously we were in the same section. So Smith's side, there was 3 teams. Yeah. There was 4 fish caught, and we had 3 of them. Yeah,
that's brilliant going. To be fair, you can't ask for more than that, really. There's not a lot else by the sounds, but you could have possibly done anyway.
No, we did all we could. We come 4th in the section overall, so including the Hardwick side. So, you know, we like to think we pulled our weight. We wanted to do better. Don't get me wrong. We always want that next fish, don't we? And Ukraine, it came down to us needing 13 kilo to overtake Ukraine in our section for us to have gold. So it was 1 big fish or two small fish. And we just couldn't. We tried, didn't we?
Were they just not there?
They were there at night. They came in at night, but they just didn't want to know. They didn't want. As I said, the only time they kind of fed was when there was a wind on the water. Literally, the only time the bites happened.
Our fish, if that's interesting to you.
Go on, Casey. This is a match person. A proper match.
9 kilo 450.
9 kilo 450.
9 kilo 500 and 9 kilo 600.
You like a 9 kilo, didn't you?
It was like 150 grams between all 3 fish. Yeah.
You needed a 13 kilo.
Yeah. Which that would have been, when we've been practicing on Smith's side, the average size fish we were getting were between 25, 26, 27. So
pounds.
Pounds, sorry, not kilos. No.
Where have you been fishing? Get me on.
Yeah, so we'd practiced where the Dutch was, so we had fish that swim, so we knew roughly what we were doing. But like I say, we were the other side. But yeah, we did catch bigger fish then, but they were all.
How'd you feel at the end of that?
At the end of the match?
The end of that match, because you not that you know the result, because obviously there's loads of calculations and stuff to be done. But for you guys as a pair, what's the overriding feeling at the end of that spell of angling? Because it's not been textbook, it's been hard, but you've done very well.
Yeah. I was pleased. It was one of them where I don't think we could have done much more from where we were. So obviously we'd have liked to have won a gold, but winning that silver, it was a hard-earned silver, and going into that night we could have ended up with no medal at all. And knowing that we've sat up, we've put everything up, and
so we went into that last night in bronze medal position.
Yeah, I remember seeing the update.
Then me and Amy had her mum and dad's motorhome down at Hardwick Parks, and we were like waking up through the night to check the scores, because Amy was getting the scores in and inputting them into the app, so she was doing the live updates as well along with Mark. So obviously I was waking up with her, and she was telling me where we were, and I was trying to go back to sleep. It's horrible. It's just shit. Don't recommend it to anybody. But we literally went from 3rd place and dropped down to 5th overnight. So when we went back, it was like we needed 3 things to happen. We needed a fish in B section. We needed the Dutch to catch on the point, to move them back up above the Welsh, which then dropped the Ukrainian. No, which then dropped. I can't remember who it dropped down, but it dropped somebody else down. And then we needed a fish in A C section. So 2 of the things happened, and we just couldn't get that fish in C section. So it was like
the other pairing. Who was the other pairing, Bev?
So it was Miranda and Jane to start, and then we subbed Teresa Bigson
for Jane, wasn't it?
Jane, yeah, on the second to last day.
And where were they?
They were on A section, which was up on the, what numbers would they be on?
Peg 10 on B2. So they withdrew left of the point. So the first swim after the point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. How did their match pan out?
So they had the first fish in the match, didn't they? Which was caught close in. Really close in for what you would think of B2. And then they picked fish off quite consistently for that first day. And they were in gold medal position, individual gold medal position at one point, and then it just dried up. Like literally, it really dried up. And they were in a safe silver medal position. They needed to, probably pick up a couple more fish to secure it because anything can happen. But they were pretty safe. And me and Rob made the decision because it was that still, and it's difficult because it's not through bad angling, but I think it's through tiredness. You go in and mistakes are starting to happen, and it's getting a little bit sloppy, and we just needed to again put some energy back into that swim with somebody that was awake, that wasn't tired. They've been stuck in a swim for 72 hours, can become a bit of tension there. Anything can happen. So me and Rob were, right, we'll just get some fresh blood in there as well. And then everybody's had a run out as well. It's all nice. Everybody that's been on the rod squad's gone in. Everybody's, fished that monumentous event. It's a massive thing for us. We started the whole thing. We, with the driving nation behind it. So it was nice that everybody in the rod squad got to fish as well. So yeah, we put Teresa in for, I think it might not have been the last 24 hours, but sort of that last night and the morning. And she, funnily enough, she had a fish just on, did she hook it just after the match, didn't she? But it was a new PB.
No way.
Yeah, so it was a really nice end. So obviously it didn't count towards the match, but it was a really nice end for us as, a team.
How big was it?
29 pounds, yeah.
Shooked it just after.
I thought it was before.
It might have been just before then.
It
did count in the match. I couldn't remember whether it didn't count in the match or it did.
Yeah, and then we all had a photograph taken with it at the end, which was really nice.
Oh, that is a nice round-off touch, isn't it? Yeah. So with regards to those two decisions that you've had to make with substitutes, etc., how did you find that as like a manager, and how did the ladies react to that in a positive way, as in like it's for the team, crack on, or in a not so positive sort of personal, taking it personal? Because I'd struggle with that. I think
and it's difficult because everybody knows it's for the team, but I think personal emotions override it, and especially when people are tired. And I did say to one of them, "Look, you're tired. Speak to me about it tomorrow." And funny enough, like what it was that they thought they wanted to speak about wasn't there when they were so tired. Yeah. Because we've all been there. Like when you're tired, you make stupid decisions. You say daft things. Like it's the extreme of tiredness that you are. And like as much as you can say sometimes, it's nothing you've done. We're making this decision for the team. It's nothing you've done. You've not done anything bad. You've not done anything wrong. We're making it as a team decision to move this swim forward. They still think it's a personal thing, like, and it's a hard thing to do. Like,
yeah, totally. But definitely.
You have to put that. As much as my mum once said to me, "Oh, you can be really hard faced," and I was like, "Well, you've got to be, haven't you? I had to manage a business at one point." And
I think you said that in the other podcast.
My mum's quite
definitely
harsh,
cut deep.
Which is the way she said it. "Oh, you can be so hard faced."
I think we need to get your mum in for a podcast. Get your mum, you get the whole family in, get the Cliffords in.
I did ever tell you the other thing my mum once said to me.
What did she say?
Brilliant. She went, "Oh, you're so pretty until you open your mouth." She keeps me in line, my mum.
I mean,
it's northern, yeah.
I'll take back the invite for the podcast. Get absolutely shredded by Mrs. Clifford.
There's a really good story about my mum berating Clive Gibbons once.
Did she?
She laid into him, yeah.
What about?
He'd been a naughty boy and he'd been doing something in his first marriage, and my mum didn't approve, so she gave him hell.
Did she?
Yeah.
What? I can't.
Mummy Clifford's forced to be reckoned with. She'd had to put up with Captain Kev for years. So.
Apple don't fall far from the trees, is it, Bev? Right, moving on. Yeah. In terms of the end of the match, you were obviously aware of where things are on the board. There's score updates, but there's a lot going on. The emotion of the event, you're tired, you fished as hard as you can. Anybody who's fished as hard as they can for a concentrated period of time without the pressure of everything else going on the occasion, it is shattering, especially if you're busy. When you were going into those sort of final moments, because you can sort of almost allow yourself to relax a little bit, if you like, especially when the hoot goes. How was that end for you? Was it bittersweet? Was it overall a positive? Was it a little bit of a sort of a niggle in the ribs to say, like, we're second, it's linear, we're at home, it's the Ukraine, which is brilliant for a Ukraine story, but it would have been even better if it was a fairy tale ending?
Yeah, a gold would have just been amazing, wouldn't it? Like, we'd have all absolutely loved it. But in the last 2 minutes of that match, like, Bonesy and Rob were, because the HQ was up by B section, really. They came to us and says, there's 2 minutes, like, Ukraine are winning. Ukraine were down to mine and Tony's right. So for the media crew, they were going to capture that moment with the winners of the competition. So to be honest with you, like, we knew that the girls on C would be literally scratching till that last whistle, and we were sending prayers out, like, big time.
Yeah.
But it, like Bev said, how she said, like, manifestation, and like she said, if we were going to lose to anybody, it'd be them. Like, I saw those girls work on that Friday night, and I ain't joking, the marshals just came past and past and past and past into that peg weighing fish. Like, it was earned and they deserved it, and like, what a boost for a country that's gone through what they've gone through.
You've certainly been through a lot. Ellen, for you guys, at the end, what was the overall feeling?
Certainly pleased that we had silver medal, because at one point it could have gone like and has not be on the podium. You know, it was that close. There was I felt a lot of pressure because it was us that could change the result that last morning. And we tried, didn't we? We tried everything. But we were happy. We were happy. We were, you know, we can't go away and not think that we haven't achieved by getting the silver. Do you know what I mean? Yes,
yeah.
Yes, we would have wanted gold. Yes, we wanted gold. But yeah, that last morning when it went, the first thing we did was I jumped over the tape. I'm out. I'm free. I'm out of jail, which was nice. And the support that we had the whole time around our swims was brilliant. And that last, you know, when the hooter waned, the support that was behind all the swims. I mean, you got to give it to the supporters that came down. People were down there like all week with us.
Yeah,
you know, even on the same campsite with us and stuff. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
That's
and it was
cool.
nice to involve them at the end as well, and sort of involve them in our celebrations.
Katie, shattered after all that? What does it compare to a sort of a, I mean, it's a longer period of time, but what does it compare to sort of a course fishing match?
Yeah, so it was quite funny, like leading up to the end. I'm just sat there quite chilled, and Ellen was pacing up and down because she was like anticipating it, and whereas I was like, we can't do anything else now, it is. And it was quite nice because we had a conversation at about 4 o'clock that morning, and we said, like, I'm sat there talking to her, and I said, I've done a few of these now, and I said, you won't realise how hard these medals are to come by. I said, I know we're in silver position. I said, gold's obviously, wow, we've done it. I said, but silver, looking back in a few years' time, these will be hard to come by, so we've got to appreciate everything that we've got. And like you say, compared to the other worlds, I've done quite a few of them, and I've managed one medal, one individual and one team. And I think the nations just get better and better as time goes on. So not that we're not going to get better, but you've got to make the most of it while we can and appreciate everything that you get from these competitions, because they are hard-earned and they don't come by very often.
Yeah, fair dues. Tactically, Bev, what won it for the Ukraine? What was the difference? Was it swim choice? Was it where they were, not choice, but where they were choice?
I think that, this is the thing where you go from, we traditionally fish 48-hour matches over here for carp matches, whereas everywhere else they generally do that 72-hour format, so we don't really get to practice that very often. What do I think won it? I think they were in that swim. There was fish there, and they fished really well and caught them. And that, if you've got fish in front of you and you fish well, you're going to catch them. And unfortunately, that was unlucky for us. That, to be fair, that it helped us that they did catch in that section anyway. But we needed the fish to be feeding in another section, and they weren't. And if the fish aren't feeding in front of you, there's nothing you can do. Everybody knows that. Like that, and that's the thing with carp fishing. It's not like any other sport, like where if you want to whack a tennis ball, you literally just need to whack the tennis ball. Like, it's as simple as that. It's like, we need. Sorry.
No, go on. I'll let that slide.
Golf, whatever you want to fit. Running, like, if you want to run faster, you literally just need to run faster. Like, you need to train yourself to run faster. You cannot train that fish to eat your bait. It's a wild animal. You rely on, there's so much of luck involved, and where those fish are, and the time of year, and the weather, and we don't need to repeat it on the Nash podcast. Everybody knows that they're into carp fishing. So they fished a blinder to catch those fish, and they rightly deserved to get those bites with the effort that they put in and have that gold medal. And we know when we go into these matches that the format of the point system means that it isn't the most fish caught that wins the medals, it's the whole point system. It can be very tactical, and it can mean that you need other people to catch, and if the wrong team catches, you can move down, and another team catches, you can bump up, sometimes 2 places. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it interesting, and we get a lot of people saying, we don't understand the point system, and what confuses it even more is the Fips word for points is penalties. The people think the penalty points, well, they're just points, it's a point system. So to anybody that's out there has been like, what's the penalties mean? It's like, well, they're not, the sort of the class as penalty points because you're awarded points for where you are on the scoreboard, but they're not penalties as in how we understand the word penalties.
Yeah, fair dues. Lost in translation,
yes.
For you as a sort of well, I can't call you just sort of a manager because you've sort of organised it and you've obviously been immersed in it. I've seen your social media posts with a lot of emotion at the end of it, various hugs. I've seen
there's lots of hugs. I'm not a massive, like, these girls know me, Ellen especially. Ellen's been there since day dot. Like, I'm not a massive crier. There's been events before where I've not cried, like even when we've won and stuff. Like, I can't. Going back to my mother, I can be quite cool. And it's not because I don't want to cry, and because I do have the emotions, but I'm just not a big crier. I never have been. And but oh my God, I just don't think I felt like I didn't stop crying. I needed all those hugs. I'd been through the mill. Like, that hands down is one of the most emotional, like, roller coasters that I've been on. And I don't think I want to get on it again. It's too much.
Can't be saying this.
Too many tears.
Yeah. You did do a lot though, which I completely get. But
I did do a lot.
Also, I think, if I think about it from the ladies' point of view, at least if they're behind the rods, there's potentially something they can do or focus on that's one element while they're fishing. Whereas if you can't really do anything, you're worried about them all. Yeah. You're worried about them. You want them to be happy. You want to make sure that they're fed. Like, I do have a bit of mummy mode in me, and I want to make sure they're all okay and that they're everything fine. But then I also want them to win a gold medal, and just I know there's no fishing for it. I just can't run. I don't know how you're going to do it. And then, Morrison's deciding not to do that. And then, a lot of resentment towards Morrison's there.
I'm not very happy with
I live it. Absolutely
some resentment towards some certain other people towards to do with the world champs. We won't go into that.
Oh, this is good.
Oh, controversy is always a bit of controversy.
Who's this?
I won't name and shame.
You've left this out of the plan.
But then it's in England as well, and like, I did see somebody, there was no negativity on social media. There was nothing negative towards the event. But I did see one comment and somebody was like, I tried to speak to Rob Hughes and he didn't talk back to me. Like, Rob's was in the same situation as me. Like, you're running around, like, we had, there's people there, people that are just fishing linear that want to chat. And like, Rob's really high profile, isn't he? And as this guy's obviously probably gone up to Rob at like the really wrong time. And as Rob's just been like, I'm really sorry, I can't talk. Like,
And then he's gone on social.
And then he's gone on social. I'm like, no, Rob was too busy to speak to me. And it's like, no, Rob would genuinely give everybody the time of day. But I don't think people appreciate like how stressful it is. Like, above all the other things we've got going on, we are there with one main focus, and that is to win. And I know Rob is exactly the same as me and these girls. And like, I've had to tell people to like come away from the swims, just leave them alone. Like, and you know, people that are supporting, they want to go chat to them, and it's like, it's difficult because they can get within chatting distance. But can you imagine if like you had like your football team on the field and like people were just like standing on the sidelines, like, mate, 1 minute, and I just have a word with you about something. It's like, just wait till after the match. Like, I get people don't understand that, and it's mine and Rob's job to be those people, be like, sorry. And it's hard because like, I'm not that kind of person, but you have to be in that situation. You have to be like, look, I'm really sorry, can you just come away?
Yes, there's a bit on this. It's a bit serious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ladies, support-wise, like before the event, after the event, everything that went on. Obviously, we saw social media-wise, but for you, what really resonated or sort of had an effect? Was it close personal friends? Was it people within the industry? Was it people at Linear? What was the sort of consensus with regards to all that?
Yeah, it was like there was loads of people, like I say, it was all over socials and friends and family getting involved. And it was quite nice because obviously I'd been away with the other Course England team just before, and they got all behind me, and it was quite nice. They were following it and being like, oh, one more fish, and they knew exactly what was going on all the way through and messaging for updates. So it was quite nice to see that they were involved and interested, even though it's totally different disciplines. So it was quite nice, yeah. And then just all the socials, everybody sending good luck messages to not only like me as an individual, but the team as well, and pass on my love to them all. So yeah, it was good.
Nice. Ellen?
Yeah, I think, again, friends, family, as a team as well. Beforehand, I think I've spoke to them more on the phone than I've spoke to them in the last sort of 6 years. You know, normally it's like a WhatsApp group and we chat and stuff, but we were chatting quite regularly on the phone. And then like even like my work colleagues, they were like taking an interest in it, going, oh, what's happening? How's it work and stuff? And they were all signing up to Carp Team England Facebook page so they could follow me and stuff. It was just the whole buzz of the event, and everyone was sort of behind it, because a lot of people don't understand it. If you're not in the fishing world, people don't understand it, and you know, and to get them interested and looking at it and following it and sending you messages. You know, I walk back into work and everyone's like standing up and clapping when I walk back in, you know, and it's just like,
were they?
That's it.
That's mega, isn't it?
Yeah. And I hadn't told anyone how I'd done. They'd all found it out from social media and stuff. Yeah, it's just like, and it makes you like lump in your throat, tear comes back in the eye. And,
yeah.
You know, it's nice. It's really, the support we got. I didn't envisage any of that kind of support like what we had. I mean, every time you turn around, there was people behind our swim, you know, and you turn around like, wow, where's everyone come from?
Yeah.
It was good. It really, the atmosphere throughout was brilliant from everyone.
Aimee?
Same as the girls, really. Like, it was lovely for friends and family to even consider it. For years, it's been like, oh, Aim's going fishing again. Like, it ain't nothing. But I think they started to realise there's really something to this. And then with Elle, like, she's in public sector job the same as me. I had patients that were like, Aim, you do this. Like, we want to see a medal when you get back. And
yeah,
like, people just massively got on board. But I think the biggest thing for me, and what I realised, is that the young girls that were coming, that like they've been to Bev's Carp academies and stuff. The future's bright. Like, them girls just lived it. They loved it. They really, really like
on it.
They were on it, and the support was absolutely immense. Like, yeah.
When you say young girls, what you talking literally like teenagers and the likes of?
Yeah, and I'm on about like 12 and 13.
Yeah, that's
and stuff,
wicked, isn't
like,
it?
And the enthusiasm for it, and they felt part of the team. Like, I ain't joking. They were on campsite with us. Like, they felt part of the team, and that was very, very humbling. I had a friend travel from Wolverhampton as well and come and bring a flag and like be there for the last day and stuff. Like, it's just amazing, and it's I suppose, like you've even said it, you haven't seen a lot of women on the bank previously. Like, it was crawling with them.
Yeah, that's wicked. But it's true. We haven't. You see sort of and don't take this in a sort of disrespectful way, but you see your regular sort of female anglers on a complex, if you like, and they'll definitely be heavily outnumbered. Yeah. To see a complex like Linear, which is overrun by female anglers and potential new female anglers, is mega. There's no two ways about it. Like, because where else are they coming from realistically, or where else are they going to be influenced by? That is a major event. And
then when you've got a fire in your belly for fishing anyway, like I'll describe when you've got a love for angling, it's a fire. Like I remembered it starting as a spark, and it's just built and built and built. Like I'm mad for it. They just add fuel to that fire, because you think, hold on a minute now, like these are looking at us. This is potentially the direction they want to go. Like it's massive. I'm excited.
I get that. I've seen a lot, especially in the last sort of 2-3 years. I've seen a lot of growth in sort of that area and a lot of progression for you ladies. And we're going to move a little bit out of, if you like, the world champs, getting into angling, the sort of role models or what you are now to those 12-year-olds that have come to Linear. What did that look like? What was the landscape like for you getting into it? Any influences? Any sort of people that you looked up to? Here we go.
Yeah, I literally had a conversation with Bev like a week ago, and I was like, when I was a kid, I can remember my mum saying to me when I was about 14 years old, Aim, like, get your head together, please think of a plan, like what you want to do. The school have you doing that national record of achievement that nobody ever looks at, that they tell you is like going to shape the future of you. And I remember sitting there and saying to my mum, like, oh, I want to fish, I want to go fishing. And she's like, Aim, that ain't a job. And I was like, Terry Earn, does he, Mum?
Was Tell yours, yeah.
I think he's everybody's, like, he's been there in it for everybody. Like, yeah, he was massively influential.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think to any carp angler, like, they wouldn't be able to say that he hasn't had some influence on what they want to be as an angler.
You got a selection of chunky nets?
I still fish Neville's, much to Bev's disgust. Like, do you know what I mean? She come into peg, and I've got this massive screwdriver on a chair, and she's like, Aim, what's the screwdriver about? I says, I've had to take the back off my Neville. She went, course you have.
We found the keep it reeler. Have we found the keep it reeler?
What was really good, you know, I was just jumping back to support. I was telling Rob during the event, like, obviously I was posting loads of stuff up. I was getting so many lovely messages. But I said to Rob, I was like, Rob, there's loads of Keep It Real boys following. He's like, really? And I was like, oh yeah. I was like,
who's the Keep It Reelers?
Well, I won't name a shame.
Oh, you mean like?
Real,
oh
yeah. You can't put the names on a podcast.
Oh, you mean actual Keep It Reelers?
Keep It Real, guys.
Wow.
Messaging saying really good, enjoying following along.
Oh, that's lovely.
Of course, it's lovely, and like, you know, and I wouldn't name them because, you know, they are too cool for school, aren't they?
Way too cool for this puck.
You know, you're getting somewhere when even the Keep It Real boys.
Oh, you've won. You've won it. Next sport, completed it. Influencing girls, not bothered about that. Gaz Fairham's watching.
I didn't say quite Gaz.
No,
Gaz, were you watching?
I love you, Gaz. It was an example. For you, Ellen, in terms of influences, was it Terry Earn?
He kind of came along later in my angling.
Did he?
So
I know who Ellen's is.
So yeah, everyone knows who mine is. So my man crush, Daryl Peck.
Daryl Peck.
There we go. It's out there.
And Daryl really rates Ellen as an angler as well. He's messaged me before about how good Ellen is.
Look, I'm blushing now. You can see me blushing.
On, mate.
I'm blending in with my t-shirt. So
I'd blush if Daryl said I was a good angler. He never has. Fair play. So Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl Peck.
What an angler.
I'm kind of self-taught in my carp angling. So I went with my dad on the River Trent when I was young. And then he gave up fishing, so I did. And then when I bought my first house, sort of in Coventry, I was near the canals and bits and pieces. Started angling and fishing in the canals, then went to commercials and I caught my first carp, and this is where I am now. So I did a lot of reading magazines and watching videos, you know, the old, can I say thinking tackles? You know, the old corded thinking tackles and bits and pieces like that. And
Ellen's got to leave now.
Yeah, no, I'm off. All right, I'm sacked. Yeah. So and Daryl, yeah, and Daryl was one that I always used to. Oh, Daryl's on the next thinking tackle kind of thing. I'm not really opening up here, aren't I? I hope he never listens to this.
Fangirl moment.
And then I did a 24-hour tutorial with him on St John's.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, this is huge. How'd you get on?
Well, I caught the small plated while he was with me. I had the small plated out of there while he was with me, and then after he left, I went on to catch the big common and then 2 further 30s as well that session. So I had quite a. I kind of skipped back with my gear from the social bank, but yeah, he's kind of whenever I see him, he always reminds me of that session and stuff, and it's kind of nice.
That's mega. What a story!
Sorry, bro.
I love that.
True
Cool story, bro. Kayleigh, maybe have we got more of a course influence, or is it big carp straight off the bat?
No, definitely course. So if we go straight to big carp, I've got to say it's Ellen, to be fair, because I won't.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually be here now if it wasn't.
Oh, no, close.
No, we're going out. Literally.
We're all
like,
the motion we used as
yeah. But no, Rob asked me to go along, and then Elle took me under her wing, and literally I've gone out with Elle and learnt what I know, casting wise, rig wise, because I literally stuck to the same rigs. I did a knotless knot, caught a few fish, and I could always catch fish, but I would never go into any standards. I could go little lakes, catch quite a lot of fish, but I would never be at the standard that what we're at now without the help from Ellen. So yeah, so literally nice, Ellen, but these obviously people who brought me up through the course side. But
what about course? Go on, talk to me.
So Sandra Scott on.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
she was in the England ladies team, and she actually, when she finished, it was her place that I took in the team. But I went out to go watch with. I got invited out to watch when she was out there, and she helped her a lot. And then Tommy Pickering.
Oh,
so he run
name dropping here, isn't she?
Yeah.
Don't move the feeder.
Yeah, so he run the ladies England team when I first got invited along, and he used to do like assessment days and training days. So he was one that took me up to that level.
Legend.
Yeah,
absolute legend.
They're the ones, and there's obviously loads of others who've helped me along the way, but they're the main 2 influences that got me like match fishing. And then obviously Rob invited me over to the dark side, and then carried on from there. Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that.
The forefront of angling. We like to think of as carp fishing.
Dark side. We'll let you off.
Angling, carp fishing.
Yeah, never mind. No, I'm joking. It's all right. Bev,
my influences.
You got your dad, but it could. I mean, you must get a lot of your dad, so it must be somebody else. No.
What's my favourite bit? Sweet corn.
Oh no. I think I've touched a nerve here, ladies.
Sorry, sponsors. It is. Influences. Oh, God, it's difficult. Isn't it? I was brought up in the industry, so like, you know, Rod Hutchinson used to come round to the house, and Len Arbery, and all these people like, to other people they're like idols. To me, they were just
Rod,
Dad's mates. Yeah. My dad's friends. But in terms of actually angling, it's got to be like Crury, Hughesy.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of time with me. But I mean, the person that spent the most time with me when I was learning to catfish was a friend Jace. I'd got a friend who had gone on a guided trip to the Ebro with some of the other girls, Pip and Jemima, Tim Paisley's stepdaughters.
Yeah.
We decided, we'd been working in the industry for years, we decided we'd have a jolly up each year, and we'd go onto the Ebro, go fishing, do a bit of catfishing, a little bit of drinking sangria, a little bit of sunshine. And Jace was one of the guides there, and just got really friendly with him, and we went on some mint fishing adventures.
Yeah.
Been all over the world, but he put loads of time and effort in with me. And I always remember one of the things that he always used to sort of drill home was finesse, Cliffy. Fish with some more finesse. And I used to go, I ain't got finesse.
Finesse ain't in this locker, mate.
Do I look like a kind of girl with finesse? But yeah, as for influences, God, it's like I was just brought up with stuffed fish all over the walls, fishing magazines, books everywhere. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to pinpoint.
You were right in it from early days, and then worked in it as well.
And worked in it, and now I'm stuck in it.
Lovely description of your job. For you, in terms of when you look at, well, you look back over your angling, and I'm talking carp fishing, but it could pertain to course fishing as well for you, Kayleigh, at the start. Those early experiences going into, it's no two ways about it, a male-dominated environment. How was that in terms of how it was received. There's obviously stereotypes around, especially at probably the time a lot of you started angling. There wasn't a lot of female anglers at all. So to see a lady was like, whoa. But in terms of the sort of how you were treated, barriers to sort of actually fishing effectively and safely and feeling comfortable, how was all that?
I'd definitely say when I first started angling, you never saw another female on the bank. But I can't actually say that I've come across that much negativity towards me as a female. Men don't like getting beaten by females. And that's still apparent nowadays as well. You know, there's a lot more female anglers on the bank, and you'll see, you know, they'll walk down the bank and they'll speak to the chap one side of you. How's it going? Have you had much? Where you fishing? What's happening? And they'll actually ignore you and go to the chap the next side, when potentially you've already caught more than the guys either side of you and stuff like that. So you see a little bit that way. But as in, like, I can't actually say anything that I've seen or felt that's actually upset me or anything along those lines.
Okay, cool. How does that annoy you, or is that in a way a good thing if someone doesn't?
I find it funny.
Do you?
I find it funny. And you know, sometimes it gives me that little bit of a, right, I'm in between two blokes here. I'm going to show you how it's done.
Yeah.
You know, and
a bit of a fire and a boost.
Yeah, it does, and it's nice. It's nice to catch a few more fish than the guys at the side of me. So
good stuff. Aimee, for you, what's it been like? You've got some lovely waters at Shropshire, very hospitable, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that Shropshire came very much later in my angling now, do you know what I mean? Like, I started on the canals when I was 6, and I've had a really different experience. Like, I ain't experienced any negativity. Like, men taught me how to fish, and I was the same as Elle, like, self-taught, read magazines, watched DVD. Well, when DVDs come out, I think one of the first videos I've got, like, is it called Yately Yahoo? It's like a VHS. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's one of the first.
You've still got that.
Oh yeah,
I've got
classic. Get that on eBay.
I've got it. Like, Yately. I learnt like that. So it was men that taught me how to fish, and you'd turn up at venues, particularly when I started to like think, right, I want some of this carp stuff now. Like, you hook your first carp, don't you? It happens to loads of people, and you think, right, how do I go about just catching these? Now, I just want to catch these over and over and over again. So, yeah, I remember I subscribed as a kid to, like, Carpology.
Yes.
And, I don't know if I can say this, like, but it used to, like, land on the mat every month, and my mum would be like, "Aim, your crapology's here again." You know what I mean? Like, nobody got it, but I just...
Cheers, Mum.
Yeah.
Really paving the way for females.
Just love fishing, but, like, in there, we was only talking about it earlier, like, I think you used to skip to the back, and there's, like, a girl in there with bikini on, and...
Yeah, so that's changed a lot. Fitty of the month.
Yeah.
Fitty of the month.
We used to do that in the office in Carp Talk. We didn't... Just first thing we used to look at. Who's Fitty of the month this month?
Just general. Who is it?
Yeah, just
right.
So I suppose like you've seen that change. You've seen a massive change in that aspect. But like in terms of being on the bank, I have to say, like, I find the angling community in general very supportive and very welcoming. You're gonna get idiots in every single walk of life, ain't you? But I think angling, like I only had a chat with some of the boys from Carp Cafe the other week, and I was like, I don't know many people that can sit immersed in nature and like appreciate a sunset and a sunrise that are like proper knobheads, I suppose. Like there's something good in them if they can appreciate them things. Like.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people go fishing, I suppose. But a core value. Yeah, if you like outdoorsy nature and you get to see those things, I get it. Bev, for you, you've been in the middle of the industry for a lot of it. How has that been?
The early years it was difficult, but that's on a business level.
Yeah.
So trying to get sometimes old blokes that were stuck in the very old ways to listen to a young, fiery female was tough. But then there was other people that were, you know, Lengard, for example, was somebody that I will always have a massive soft spot for, because he used to take the time to, you know, chat on the phone to me, you know, discuss things with me. You know, obviously he was at the time doing OVC as well as, you know, his involvement with Linear. He was just a massive, like, positive, influential person that was always, you know, sort of cheerleading me from behind and, you know, been a little bit of a helping hand, and I'd chat through things with him. There was so many more people like that. Nash, for example, I remember being quite young dealing with Nash. He was always, more than welcoming, never, negative towards dealing with a female. But yet, don't get me wrong, there were some old boys that, dealing with a female was like, well, what do you know? Somebody once did say that to me. What do you know? You're a female.
What do you know? You're a female.
Yeah, do you know what I said? I said, I tell you what I know. Whoa. You earn me that money, and you will pay me it. There's ever some advertising money. It's just like got my pennies in the end.
Yeah, I bet you.
But that still goes on. I've got friends that work in other industries like the food industry, and that can be a little bit slow on the gender equality, if we want to call it. Give it its proper name. And they still come up against, some old blokes that still think, women stay at home and cook and clean and men go to work. If it was only as simple as that. Only it was as simple as if men just went to work and that's all they did and women just stayed at home and cooked and cleaned. Wouldn't it be a simple world that we lived in?
No comment. I'm out.
Very simple.
The one thing I was going to talk about, and you talked about it a bit earlier, you referenced Fitty of the Month in Carpology.
Yeah.
There's a load of old, I'm going to say adverts because I won't name brands, but that were around the same sort of
sex sells, doesn't it?
Sex sells mantra, but bringing that into sort of the modern age, probably maybe not more so now, but there has been a spate of where social media, eyeballs, attention, might have been talking about a little something before this as well, has been on female anglers, but under the sort of the pretense of it being overly sexualised. So nothing to do with the actual application of angling, catching carp or whatever, to do with basically
monopolising on a large group of anglers, a large group of people that would probably pay the subscription fee to see something.
Thanks for saving my attempt at trying to put that eloquently. But you know what I'm saying. Yeah. You've got the likes of an OnlyFans appearance. You've got the likes of Instagram and people wanting likes and female anglers using the fact that it's male dominated, the fact that they are obviously attractive females, but putting fishing very much as a secondary to that and gaining popularity, audience clout, and also with that leverage with regards to just having the amount of people follow them.
Yeah.
How do you, as legitimate quality elite anglers, how do you perceive that in terms of females as a sort of a stake in the ground with regards to how that's become part of the
there's
trend?
two ways to look at it, isn't there? I mean, it goes on in every walk of life. So it's not just in our sport, it happens in I really enjoy sort of running. I really enjoy the gym, and that happens there. People capitalise on the fact that sex sells, and they use that within that sport by using their looks or by marketing or by Instagram to generate what they want from it.
Yeah.
For me, it's a frustration because I believe that we've as women we've been gifted a brain and we've been gifted a good work ethic, and we can achieve things within our own right without utilising sex to try and jump up the ladder, as it would be. And I think fishing, we've skipped over that. We've been through the whole sex sells thing, and don't get me wrong, there will always be people now, because of things like social media and because of that followers means fame, or however you want to put it into perspective, that they will because they've got a following, they will then be able to get a bait deal or something like that. But I would never myself or want for anybody within the CAT team or be working with anybody or push anybody to try and get somewhere within their angling through pursuing followers on a social media platform. Let the fishing speak for itself. Enjoy your fishing for what it is. Don't get wrapped up in that murky world of social media, because it's not the real world. The real world is you going out, enjoying your hobby, enjoying your sport, and if you are good, the right company will approach you at the right time to help you along your way. And I think now we're seeing more from the companies that they all did jump on the bandwagon, and I don't need to name any names of any companies because I think they've all done it at one point and just picked on an attractive female because she's come fishing for 5 minutes, and they've been, we'll throw you a load of sponsorship, and then they've disappeared off the face of the earth because they weren't actually in it for that. They were in it for the likes, and then they've moved away because it's not something that it's not a natural hobby for them. Whereas, you know, there's people that are going to stick at it. You know, they're probably more concerned with going fishing than they are with, you know, what followers they've got on Instagram. And I know these girls are. They're more concerned with, you know, going fishing, doing a good job, catching fish than how many likes they've got on a TikTok video.
For you girls nowadays, if I look at it in a wider context and I look at male anglers, there's a lot of male anglers nowadays who potentially are sort of your modern day Terry hands in terms of they fish, they're influencers. That is their job, ultimately. You all love fishing. You're obviously really, really proficient, good anglers. Do you think there'll ever be a point at which there'll be a female angler influencer like there is with regards to the male side of things now?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to see with all the publicity that it got this year that basically the whole team will be them influencers. So we're already seeing it with young girls, not only young girls as well as young. It is mainly the younger anglers that I know about. But basically we are them people that people aspire to be, and we are the role models. So when you go fishing, it's one of them that you've got to keep in back of your mind and what you do put on socials. And I think if we set an example of what we expect to see, it'll just follow on. So there's no point, like I say, putting these pictures on what people want to see women as. It's literally the fish that people are looking at and the angling ability. So I'd like to think that we are that next generation that people will be looking up to us if we keep going and keep with the social media platforms that we're on and keep it professional as we have been doing.
I think it's you know, showing that it's the enjoyment of the sport. That's what everybody needs to remember, and, you know, enjoying it for what it is. You know, like Aimee mentioned, you know, watching the sunset, watching the sunrise, learning about nature, you know, being one of the things when, you know, you're looking for somebody when they apply for a job, you know, if you're a type of person that employs somebody in their job role, one of the things I've always looked at is what hobbies they've got, how long have they been doing those hobbies, because if they're committed to a hobby for a long time, they can clearly commit to a job for a long time.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for somebody that's going to jump around every 5 minutes, you know. So if somebody comes into fishing, you know, and carp fishing, and they're looking for women to follow, I want them to gravitate towards these ladies because they've been doing it for years. They're passionate about it. They care about it. Fish welfare is important. You know, they're not, and, you know, they spend time with them. They're not going to be telling them about, you know, Instagram or social media or TikTok videos. They're going to be teaching the fundamentals of fishing. And that's the important thing. We're all here for the same thing. And that's, one, to enjoy fishing, but two, that will always probably override my own fishing to my own detriment, is to get more women fishing and to get more people fishing, to get more kids fishing. And that's by having good, solid role models.
What's the key to that as well as role models for you? What's the thing that, whereby obviously you've had this mega event, you've got the mega buzz of us hosting it being here, all the support, seeing a percentage of girls come down and sort of look up to you as role models. What more do you think needs to happen? Or are you happy with where things are? What's the overriding feeling for you, ladies? You sort of live it, breathe it, you see it on the banks, and you'd probably like to see a transfer of more anglers. What's the keys that need to be put in place?
Firstly, I didn't realise the support that we had. It was an eye-opener to me, particularly the 12, 13-year-olds that come down and stuff. And the fact that they've been messaging me on through social media since and stuff like that, and how they really do look up to us. So I think it's there, and we need to tap into it. And I think at the moment, social media, although it can be an area that can cause us issues, but I think it's something. It's what the kids know, isn't it?
Of course,
it's what the kids know. It's where people now go to find out stuff, find out what's going on. So I think we need to maintain it, sort of. Show that our fishing, show what we're doing through our fishing. You know, like personally me, I just want to go and catch fish. You know, whether it's big fish, little fish, whether it's, you know, I'm sat out looking for a 40-pounder, or I want to go and smash straight into pieces for a day. You know, it's what excites me, and we've got to get that over to the up and coming, so that they can see that it isn't all about, you know, fishing for one fish. You've got to do in your angling what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the way to do that is through social media at the minute, and your events that you run, Bev, you know, because people see it, you know, from the the world, I've now got a 12-year-old coming out with me for a dad to film me for 48 hours. Because she wants to see me fishing, because I didn't realise that I'm her big hero, you know, and again...
You're her Daryl Peck. Well,
I'm her, yeah. but do you know what I mean? I didn't realise that. I didn't know that these kids were looking at me like that. I'm just somebody that goes out on my days off, catches fish, you know, and tries to help these girls as much as I can to catch more fish. So, you know, it's opened my eyes, and I think that's what we've got to continue to do, to get girls, kids, whoever, ladies, you know, there's no age limit on any of this, involved with us. Let them see what we're doing, seeing that we're enjoying our angling, and it's not just for men, it's there for ladies as well. And the fisheries are coming on board as well, aren't they? With all their their facilities. Yeah. You know, their facilities are so much better now. You've got ladies and men's toilets. You know, and a lot of them are safer yet. Their
venues are secure and locked now.
You know, it's getting there. It certainly is getting there, and I think we're going to see it just snowball and get bigger and bigger.
What about support from wider organisations, Bev? I'm thinking Angling Trust, brands, the likes of it. But you had a lot of backing in that sense, or has it been something where maybe there's more sort of scope to look at? I mean,
so as the official Carp Team England, we have to go through the Angling Trust. They were involved. So we had to run certain things by them for the event. They weren't really involved. I would love more involvement from them. I would love to try and get them to profile Carp Team England more. I don't think it's any secret that we as carp anglers don't feel that they support the carp side of things perhaps as much as they do some of the other sports. So I would really have liked them to see them cover it more. I was disappointed. I literally contacted every single mainstream newspaper. The Telegraph ran something beforehand. They've always been really good to us. None of the rest of them picked up on it. And I think in a time where we're trying to push forward women's sport, that was pretty disappointing. You know, there's the past few years, women's sports become a massive thing. So, you know, personal level, that was disappointing. I think the fishing press, we did a bit. Again, I think they could have made a bit more of a song and dance about it. But then they're under no obligation to. And if they think, you know, that there's other things that take precedence and they're not interested in the match side of thing, that's their choice. You know, I came from a publishing background, and we always tried to cover a bit of everything, and keeping everybody happy is difficult. So that's where, you know, that's why everybody does utilise social media now. You know, we do use that to your own benefit, because you can create your own story, and if you tap into it, you can push it outright. In terms of brands supporting us, Kumu have been absolutely amazing. They did all the clothing for us. They designed all the clothing, they handled it all, and they designed all the branding for the event. So that was massive thanks to them. For such a small company, that's, you know, a massive cost. The Air Group, which is the independent group of tackle shops, they have sponsored Carp Team England for the past few years. So without them, we would have, you know, that's paid for all the girls getting fed. It paid for, you know, all the clothing. It paid for absolutely loads of stuff. It pays for, you know, other events that we do throughout the year. So they, you know, they massively support us. Then we also had, to be able to run the event is a massive cost. You get the team entries, but that goes towards, you know, things like opening closing ceremony, things like that. Then you've also got trophies to pay for. We did goodie bags. We did. You've got bibs to pay for. The costs are phenomenal. So to do it well, and we wanted to do it well, we knew we needed to raise some extra funding. So we got the trophies sponsored. Fatty's Bait and Tackle sponsored them.
They're on. It's a beautiful trophy, isn't it?
They are cool, aren't they? You've got to give.
That is a weighty bit of trophy as well, isn't it?
Mint, that, isn't it?
That is good. There it is. Fatty's Bait and Tackle.
Yeah.
Wolverhampton, massive. If you're in Wolverhampton, get to Fatty's Bait and Tackle.
There you go.
It's a nice trophy.
Goodie bag sponsor was Carp Hunters. So they massive shout out to them. They were brilliant. And the bib sponsors was Carp Cafe, which is coming soon. Can't tell you too much about that.
Oh, she's getting the boss happy, hasn't she? Get the boss happy.
Well, that's brilliant for them, you know, to straight away. You can imagine that I'm not going to be, you know, working with a team that aren't massively involved with pushing the sport forward and trying to change things and trying to get more people into the sport. So I think it goes without saying that anybody knows that I'm going to be involved with something like that. So they were, you know, straight away, even though they can't actually see any return on that investment, they were straight away up for sponsoring something and helping out, because that's a massive passion behind, you know, everybody that's there. So yeah, there was loads of other people, you know, like Burnsy from Tracker came and gave his time, and you know, but people giving up their time is a massive thing as well. You know, like it's, you know, some of the Carp Team England boys that came down and, you know, gave up their weekends and, you know, to help out. It's those people that put back their time into the sport to grow the sport are forever the people that I will look up to more than, you know, the big named anglers that go out there and selfishly catch fish. Massive respect to them, wonderful thing to do. But actually, when you give your time, your hard-earned free time to put back into a sport, you're the people that I deem in high regard in this industry.
Yeah, nice. Aimee, for you, if you're a young aspiring girl that's maybe seen some of the sort of Carp Team England stuff, may have seen somebody fishing on social media, may just be interested in sort of giving it a go. For you, the streams at which to sort of get some help if there's nobody around you potentially that fishes or knows it and get involved, what does that look like at the moment?
To be honest with you, Hass, that's where I think, like Ellen says, the positive of social media comes in, because if you're a girl that thinks, I want to give this a go, and you've got nobody like close that you could get out to, Bev runs them lovely ladies carp academies, and then social media makes everybody reachable, doesn't it? Like, and I've always said, anybody that wants to seriously learn how to fish and spend some time next to water and learn how to fish, I'd give them my time. I find it massively rewarding, and I think it's an investment into our sport and into the future. So it makes it that you can find those people. You can choose your role models, can't you? So there might be girls out there that look at the bikinis and the carp and think, that's the future I want. Everybody's different. Like, thank God everybody is, and each to their own. But then if you want to carp fish and you aspire to, like, Team England and stuff one day, you can find us, and we ain't out of reach. I'd say that everybody on the team's approachable. Bev probably gets messages left, right and centre, like, can you suggest anybody that can help with this, or can you help with this? I know that I do. You obviously are. Kyle, I bet you do, for course and carp now. It ain't out of anybody's reach to ask. And I think, like, I'm glad there's a variety. Variety's the spice of life, ain't it? And these kids coming through, and ladies that have never considered it before but want to, you can choose who you're going to follow and want to see their angling. Like, I'm a big believer that your fishing speaks for itself.
Yeah. I think it's a thing that I've thought about in terms of across the board, whether that be boys or girls. Obviously, with the Women's World Champs, you've got a major sort of, I don't know, spark that's been lit, if you like. But across the board, that sort of youth sector, those young anglers coming into it, I often think, like, if you don't have people, yes, you can reach out and talk to people, and it's brilliant, because I know that you all message back and you get loads of messages, but it's roots into actually tangibly going fishing, isn't it? Do you think that there's enough for those young people? Do you think there's enough? There's obviously the ladies' carp, and you do a fantastic job.
What we could do with loads of those.
Exactly.
And it is the same for youngsters coming into it, isn't it? It's my dad's the president of Holland District Anglers Association, and one of the guys there, Derek, he has done some tireless work with other guys there as well, but Derek's sort of the figurehead for it, doing junior events. So through the summer they do junior carp schools every single week throughout the summer holidays. There's a junior carp school, and in fact I think there's two, because they do one in the centre of Hull and then one like in the villages where I live. And then during the winter they do pike schools, and they have done so much work on that junior side of things, like outstanding compared to like some clubs. But the amount of time and effort that they've had to do that, we need that everywhere. So that it's so easily accessible, and it's just not. And I think the problem is as well, and we've all got to go through it in every sport, but you know, there's so much safeguarding and paperwork and everything around working with kids now that it just makes it impossible for some of these small clubs to do. But
It's hard.
It's hard, isn't it?
But it is also quite subjective. I look at Rayleigh here, and we do, throughout the summer, we do Rayleigh Young Club, brilliant. Mega junior programme, we'll go down, deliver. It's fantastic. It's brilliant work. There is a lot of paperwork with it, but you also look at the sort of the ownership of that, or the person making the decision. The club ultimately has got to be wanting juniors, has got to be receptive.
They've got to see it as the their future of the club. It's like it's the same as stocking fish. It's, you know, like people will put, you know, stocks dwindle in a lake, and all the old boys are like, oh, what are you stocking your fish for? It's like, well, 10 years time there's not going to be any fish if we don't let's put some fish in, because they're all going to die. And it's like, if we don't pull new people through into the sport, if you don't invest into the kids, then there's not going to be any future members for your clubs, you know, because you're not pulling them through. But what I was going to say with that was what Derek and the guys at Hun District found frustrating was that the kids had come and they'd want to be there and they'd want to go again and they'd want to go fishing, but the parents had actually come and sort of drop their kids off and use it as like an out of school club.
Yeah.
But then there's not the parent there that knows how to take them fishing again. And it's also, we need to get families into it as well. It needs to be everybody coming to it, not just focusing on the kids and getting it into them. It's like, you know, it's some of the best pictures I've seen recently has been like Aimee out with her little boy, you know, and he's there in the water with a single mum taking her kid fishing. That's this kind of stuff that we need to promote as well. It's like, you can make it work. It's not ideal. It's not ideal when you take the dog, is it? You know, I know when I take Kaiser, it's like a nightmare. It's like having a fucking dog like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, just do it. Like, don't put hurdles in front of you to do something, because actually there's memories you'll create. Like the pictures of Aimee with her little boy, like she's got a picture of him with the medal around her neck. I just think that's what it's all about. Like changing this it's been such a thing where fishing has been seen as those two old blokes on the riverbank eating sandwiches out that bloody Tupperware box. And it was even 10 years ago. And it's not like that, you know, look at like the whole thing, like the Eben Banks thing that, you know, Alan's done. And as long as we keep diversifying it and pushing away from that stereotype, I think we can grow it. And, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, the woolly jumper crew, love it. Like sitting under the brollies all day, effing their back up because they're crouched over under the brolly that's so low, you know, watching the water through the binoculars. Brilliant.
Neville's,
yeah. I mean, she's just like a hybrid, isn't she?
She's there, man. I can see it.
She's like
I
a
can
hybrid.
see it.
Like, Aimee, get that brolly up. You're going to damage your back.
Go on, mate.
But, you know, or Tom Maker style, smashing it up. Like, you know, it couldn't be more worlds apart from, you know, the boys sitting it out on a big pit for one bite a year. You know, he's having a million bites a year, you know, and then there's single mums taking their kids fishing, and there's family fishing trips to France. It's like it's all got a place. So we just need to be more, you know, make carp fishing appeal more wider. You know,
that mass appeal.
That mass appeal.
Yeah. It's definitely helped. There's been a lot more sort of TV coverage. There's been a lot more sort of, bigger
making it a bit cooler. Like,
exactly.
You know, Corder have made it cool. Nash have made it cool as well. It's like, you know,
COVID made it cool as well.
COVID made it cool, yeah. And it's, you know, Terry's all...
COVID made it mandatory, didn't it?
Yeah, COVID made it mandatory.
I've got no choice.
It's got to go carp fishing. So it's like, it's making it look as if it's open to everybody and there is no barriers. Because we all know there's no barriers to going fishing. But it's like, it's highlighting that in the right way that, you know, when you go fishing, you ain't going to see those two blokes sat eating their sandwiches on the riverbank. In fact, you're probably going to struggle to see those two old blokes now. It's like such a diverse group of people.
Yeah, definitely. I think fair play, yeah. For you ladies, with regards to sort of the future, and we'll talk to Bev separately around competitions, etc., but just basically keep your angling in terms of wherever you're fishing now. We can talk about that. But in terms of aspirations with Team England, what is it?
I want to stay in Team England.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd like to make initial starting squad selection. Like that's a personal goal. And I want a gold medal.
Love that.
Ain't a lot to ask, is it? Well. It ain't a lot to ask, but yeah, I want a gold medal.
And some R4s.
Yes.
Something that
them
makes
Nevilles,
a noise.
Them need a screwdriver.
My Nevilles, actually, I used to stuff them with like matrix mufflers and then black zig foam. Like, they're quiet. Keeping it real.
Might as well not have them. Just put them on the ground.
Yeah. They don't work half the time anyway, do they, Nevilles?
How can you hear them? She says, I can hear her. I said, you got receivers? She says, no, they wake me up. I couldn't hear them when I was awake. They were muffled that much.
Unbelievable.
Stealth.
In Wolverhampton, if it shines too bright, it's not long yours. So you got to be steady. Ellen, for you?
I want to stay with the team. I want to continue to captain the team and lead the team for a gold next year in France. That's what I want. I want to get everybody so they all can, if they draw B2 in the bowl, they can all hit 30, 34 wraps that they need to. That's what I got out of this year, and that's what I want to see the rest of the team do. It's achievable. It's just hard work, and that's where I've not got to where I am by not working at it. You know, I used to watch people cast and think, oh God, I can't get anywhere near there. But it's only my own determination and stood casting hour after hour in horrendous weather to get where I've got. And that's where I want to get everybody else to.
Fair play. Your own angling? Where are you looking? Where are you fishing?
So at the minute, I'm on Naseby. And I shall continue on there because it suits me for what I need for the match fishing world.
Yeah.
I need somewhere where I can go and chuck as far as I like if I want. I can go and tuck myself away and have casting practice where I'm not going to interfere with anyone. And if I want a good smash up, the Carp are up for it as well.
Yeah,
and I can guest other people on if they're not members as well. Bev's really good down there. She lets most of the team come on and we can work together to improve the team.
Nice.
So that's my plans.
Kayleigh.
Just win a world championships.
So you won.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's what we are going to get. It's not what we want, it's where we are going to.
Fair set of ladies. Yeah. Angling for you, you're still on the approach? You're going to stick
I'll
on
probably
there?
do another month on there at most. And then literally through winter, it'll just be odd day sessions out with Elle, probably Drayton, Bodies, Naseby, just catching bites. I don't like camping out through winter. It gets a little bit cold and I like to go through day sessions, smash it up and go home and have a nice warm bath.
Fix and then you're done, aren't you? Yeah, fair play.
And then once spring comes and it starts warming up, I'll be back out again as normal. Yeah, probably back down linear on training sessions.
Good stuff. Is you selling the match gear or what are you doing?
Oh no, that comes out through winter because you can have a nice day match fishing, catch a load of fish, go home, get a nice hot bath and do it all again next day.
We'll let you off. No, I'm joking. It's good. Yeah, fair play to you. Good to be multidisciplined.
She's selling it there, isn't she?
I like it. I like it. I'm just giving it the big end. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, that's all right, that is. If I'm struggling for a bite, I will stick on a match venue with a little feeder and I look like an angle again. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, fair play. Bev,
this winter, you're going to go play tennis, though, aren't you?
I've got to play some tennis.
Just putting it out there so that everybody can keep up to date with your tennis exploits.
I'm just not going to be on social media. I'll tell you that now. So I've not eaten any of these.
It has to be now because I've just called you out.
No, it doesn't. I've actually displayed extreme self-discipline with the amount of treats I haven't had any of them for that course of days. So I'm happy with that. That's breaking hurdles and new ground. But yeah, I've got to play some tennis. But I'll do some fishing as well. For you, are you going to go through the whole process again next year in France in terms of taking the ladies and sort of steering them in the right direction?
Yes.
Yes. Did she not declare that before?
Oh, that's like breaking news.
Is that breaking news? Exclusive. They've clapped her. We've got it documented. It's on sound and cameras. Unlucky.
For me, it's a massive time commitment thing as well. And I did consider not doing it going forward. Doing that, the Ladies Carp Academy, full-time job, trying to be a single mum to a tearaway dog, trying to run ultra marathons, just a little bit frazzled.
Yeah, what are you going to give there? I'm going to say what you're giving there. You got to give up the marathon then, yeah?
I'm going to maybe cut back the number of Ladies Carp Academies.
Yeah.
Not train as many hours, still try and do the same things, but train a little bit wiser, assistance of the coach.
This sounds like, when you go into that classic sort of corporate, what do you call it, like an appraisal?
Yeah.
And you just chat rubbish and it never happens.
It never happens.
I'm listening to you, but I'm just going.
How could I not have been there since sort of from the start? And yeah.
Yes, you got to.
Do you know who talked to me around Burnsy?
Did he?
Yeah.
What a lovely bloke.
Yeah, I gave my head a wobble.
What about fishing? Are you not going to
Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you know what? Do you know what? And this is a hard thing to admit. Like, I enjoy adventure fishing the most, which is the one that takes the most time in it. You know, going on like a 5, 7, 10 day adventure. That's the stuff that like really like gets me excited, and it's one of the most time consuming things.
What, you mean like a big French public lake or something?
Yeah, just been feral, been a little bit grubby for a week, like not knowing where you are, like been off the grid. Like I like that, like, and that's what I get from my running. And while I don't mind going for fishing commercial venues over here, it doesn't set my soul on fire. But I've got a couple of things booked for like personal fishing. My work will involve me fishing. Obviously, that's work fishing. It's not always going to be my chosen venues and stuff like that. But yeah, I want to try and get some adventures in. Don't know who I'm going to rope in to do them with me yet. Just, rope the dog in. Don't think he's going to be a very good cur driver, map reader, is he?
Do you need a map? Who uses a map now?
I love a map.
Oh, what is going on?
Love a map. There's nothing wrong with a map, is there? If you can't map read, you're doomed. What happens if everything dies? Technology.
I mean, we're dead if technology dies, isn't we?
We are, yeah, but I'm not.
Because you can read a map.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even own a map.
I love a map.
Google Maps is all you need.
Love a map.
Do you? But that's because you're running off grid, isn't you? There's no maps where you're going. It's just green, isn't it?
Maybe I am keep it real woolly jumper crew.
But when it comes to carp fishing, are you that?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm a little bit confused.
If you're French public water, that's very keep it real, chunky neck crew, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you don't tell anyone.
No, but
you just publish the
wear
pictures.
your woolly jumper though, because it rains and you get wet and then you get soggy and cold.
None of this is done for function. You wouldn't be wearing a woolly jumper. It's the middle of summer. It's 35 degrees.
Oh no, but they do in them. They do, don't they?
Yeah, that's because it's carp he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, too right.
Melting underneath it.
Map reading, add that to your set of skills. Ladies, I can only thank you for coming in, because you've all come from various parts of the country. I genuinely think this might be the first podcast where it has been for just lady guests talking about women's fishing. I'm going to say that, but I could be completely proven wrong by another podcast somewhere out there, so I apologise if that's incorrect. But it's been great to get a perspective into ladies angling, a little bit of a debrief with regards to your awesome achievements at the World Championships, and a little insight into the future, hopefully, whereby we could inspire some of the ladies that have been inspired to get into angling, talk to you guys, go to ladies carp academies, and hopefully between us as a community, just get more people involved, whether they be men, women, children, or whatever. Because let's face it, the more people fishing, the better. No two ways about that. So thank you very much. Before you go, I've got some quick fire questions. I've limited them to sort of 5, but you have to answer them in sequence. So I'm going to start here and work round the room to Bev, okay?
Do I need a map?
What's this? I've got a map.
Map and compass.
I wrote my map. This is a good one, if I do say so myself. Carp fishing in high heels and your out clothes, or night out in carp fishing gear?
Night out in carp fishing gear.
Oh, have you gone for that?
100%, I've done it.
Have you?
Yeah.
I've gone for waders.
Yeah. Not waders.
That's insane.
Actually, they wouldn't be a bad shout in Wolverhampton.
Oh, you need more than waders,
What's
mate.
going on in Wolverhampton? What clubs are you going in?
That is niche.
I don't go out anymore, really. I don't go out anymore. But yeah, there you go.
Right, fair. So you're going out in fishing gear.
You know them nights where like you've been fishing, you just pop in the pub, and then it's like you don't know you're going out, but you end up out. Yeah, I've done it.
You don't have to
Then you
justify
come
your
in
decision,
at 4
mate.
o'clock in the morning and
Still in your carp gear.
And your
ready to go.
waders. Ready for the bank. Ellen, what you doing? You going carp fishing in out gear, or are you going out in carp gear?
I'm going to have to go carp fishing in my out gear because I don't go out anymore.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
And I like my
What sort of
fishing.
ensemble are you going for here, Ellen? This is for Daryl.
Well, I'm not a high heels and short skirts kind of girl, but I'd probably go more jeans and a nice top kind of thing.
Jeans and a nice
yeah, something along
top.
them lines.
But you're still carping. Where are you going carping? In your jeans and a nice top?
If I had to choose somewhere in the UK, somewhere that I'd really like to fish would be Raysbury.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that'd be one place.
Very nice.
you could totter around the lodge in your high heels there, then you won't look out of place, would you?
It'd be boots. It wouldn't be high
Perfectly
heels.
suited.
See it all the time at Rosebery, mate. Standard, you'd fit in.
Thanks.
Kayleigh, what you doing? Out in fishing?
I'm off fishing, I am.
Fishing in out gear?
Yeah. I don't really
That's outrageous.
go out drinking I can't drink. I just get drunk and get a numb face.
Are you saying
and
can't-
throw up? Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Get
my
a numb face.
Yeah, my face goes numb. I talk a lot of crap and just throw up, so I might as well just go fishing, yeah.
Wow. Fair play. Clifford, what are you doing? It's a long pause there.
I think I would go fishing in my outdoor gear.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah.
Where are you fishing?
I'm
The Cotswolds.
Do you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Cotswold in my proper out gear, like long dress, high heels, been to a dinner dance.
I hope it's
rock
winter.
up to the Cotswolds.
And it's muddy out.
Hair done.
Fantastic. Watch out the Cotswolds. Right, standard Nash question. Drum and bass or country and western when it comes to music?
Them two, country and western.
Oh, good angling.
Dolly Parton over here. I love Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, all them.
Good angling. Ellen?
She stole my answer. Mine's exactly the same.
Country and western?
Country and western, yeah. Country and western, a bit of Dolly. Yeah.
Go on, the Midlands.
I mean, I'm probably the worst person to ask about music, so I'll just stick with country and western. I don't really know which drum and bass, but
My face
yeah.
has gone numb.
Yeah. I'm not normally conscious for that part.
Fantastic. Wow. What a...
Sleep in the nightclub in a wedding.
When my face goes in, my ears do too. Bev, what are you going for? You've answered this one.
Drum and bass.
That's proper wrong. Never mind, 8.
I'm not wrong, then. I just like to rave.
Yeah. We all know those stories. 3 celebs you'd take fishing and why? They can be past or present, so you can invigorate some celebs that have passed if you wanted to. It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got a hard...
I'll know my first one.
Go on.
A bit Elvis Presley.
Legend.
Just because, he's the king, innit? So let's get him bankside.
That's if Elvis might still be around, apparently, as well.
Well, kicking back with Tupac somewhere, innit?
Yeah, just rocking around.
What a combo that would be.
I'd take Tupac.
Right, you've got Tupac as one of yours,
I've
Bev.
I've got mine sorted.
Number 2. It says a lot about a person here. You've gone very deep.
No, do you know what, right, actually? I've got a picture on my Instagram of who I said it'd be like a proper good fishing buddy, and it's Brad Pitt, a shot of him in the river runs deep. So, yeah, Brad Pitt, come on, man.
Brad Pitt, yeah.
In Fight Club days, I'm coming.
Brad Pitt in Fight Club days.
It was
No,
beautiful,
river runs
wasn't it?
deep. Yeah.
River runs deep. I think he's fly fishing, isn't
Yeah,
he?
it's fly
I've seen that
fishing.
movie.
The image is just beautiful. But...
Is it? Brad Pitt. He's still single, isn't he?
He was
Single,
fitty of the month then, wasn't he?
He's fitty of the month every month. He's 75 years old. Looks about 20.
And then number 3. Let me have a think.
It's got to be a Wolverhampton legend knocking around.
No, do you know what, actually? Can I pick somebody who carp fishes?
100%.
Yeah.
You can go where you want with this.
So I met Joan at the World Champs.
Joan and Steve came.
Yeah, did come down, didn't
they
he?
came, yeah.
I'd love to fish with Joan. I'd love to fish.
Absolute legend. First woman to catch 60-pounder, Joan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair play. Good 3. Ellen, no pressure.
So sticking with the fishing theme, it's got to be Daryl. I've got to go out with Daryl again. Come on.
Yeah, Daryl.
I've got to keep the theme going, haven't
Daryl, I won't give you your number or your address.
I've got his number.
Oh, Jesus. Change it, Daryl. No, I'm joking. Carry on.
And then I'd say pink.
Oh,
Pink.
yeah.
Oh, I love pink.
Pink, got to be pink, yeah. And
That's an eclectic mix of people, isn't it?
and then the third, I think going back, if we think to when I was younger and films, I'd probably say Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
Tom from his Top Gun days.
Top Gun, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I know he's from the original Top Gun days.
What you're saying, he's washed up now, but back in the day, banger.
No. Yeah. But it's just going back to a film that I pretty much wore out the video.
Nice.
Yeah, I would tell him.
Can we go to Bev because I've got no idea?
What's that? Yeah, we can go to Bev. Bev knows hers. You keep thinking. What are you going for, Bev?
So I would go with David Attenborough.
He were up there.
Can you imagine? You don't really need to
Ridiculous.
take anybody else, do you?
You don't need rods, do you? You'd have what a chat you'd have.
Amazing. Do you know who Ross Edgley is? The bloke that swam around Britain. Cool athlete, like proper hybrid athlete. Really cool dude.
He
did. Yeah.
Who needs a bait boat? Go on, Ross.
Yeah,
take this to the island.
Exactly. And my third one would be Eddie Hall.
Wow.
Strong man.
Yeah, that would be a blinking interesting session, wouldn't it?
I just think he's a really interesting bloke, how he came from that swimming background. I think his mentality to win and achieve is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. Good. Kayleigh, are you going for?
He's going to be really random.
Yeah, I like random.
So Steve Irwin.
Oh my God, she's absolutely smashed it.
I forgot who the other one was a minute ago. So Steve Irwin, probably a footballer. Not too sure who. Probably Phil Foden, because I know he likes carp fishing and he's big into it. So and I quite like football. And then I'm going to go David Attenborough, but I picked someone else.
My other one would be Mary Berry.
Oh, Edge. Everyone needs a bit of berry on the bank, don't
Mary
they?
Berry cooking cakes while you're talking to David Attenborough, watching Ross Edgley.
That is...
Nailed it.
I don't know about watching.
I can't think of my third at minute. When it were in there for a second and it nipped back out, so when it nips back in, I'll let you know what it is.
That's fine. You can come back with your third. You were thrown off by David Attenborough, which is fair enough. Favourite venue and favourite carp? This could be a historic venue as well, maybe a venue you haven't fished, but if you were given the opportunity to, venue and carp, what would it be? This is a keep it real answer coming up right here. This is going to be right up there.
It's not. It's actually a day ticket fish that I wouldn't be able to fish for it now. It's gone, but I think that big common that was in Beedham Quarry is one of the most beautiful fish that was ever swam in this country. It was mega, that was. I'd have loved to have caught that fish.
Sorted. Well answered. Very quick. Nice. Ellen?
I think I've already hinted at the venue. I'd love to go on Raisby North.
What fish?
The fish wouldn't necessarily come from there, but one that I chased for quite a time was the big plated out of St John's.
Bring it back.
Yeah, I chased that for a while. Seen it on the bank lots, but never lucky enough to catch it.
Got the little plated though.
I got the little plated, small plated,
It's good angling. Kayleigh?
I'd probably twisted scale out of the approach that used to be Eric's Willows, no longer there, but yeah, good 50 plus.
Is that still going? How big's that?
Oh no, it's no longer there, it's died, but does it have to be alive, this fish?
No.
Mine's dead, Barry.
No, you can have a dead.
I'd have a dead one.
I only say that because I have caught that fish and it's
Have
a
you?
very nice comment.
Yeah, I've only seen pictures of it.
£44, I doubt.
Yeah, I think it got a bit bigger than that, but...
All right.
Yeah.
I don't catch many.
I'd have still taken it. I'd have taken
a
it.
moment. I can insert screenshot. It'll be a big montage.
Why have you not got a picture of it behind
It's in my
you?
office. I'm not in my office.
okay.
Couldn't bring it here. They wouldn't let me have it.
Yeah, nice fish.
Nice fish. Well done. I'll give you that. Go on, Bev.
Mine's probably got to be a common. I don't know. Let's go with...
Everyone likes a common, don't they?
I love common. Clarissa.
Oh, it's a classic.
Classic carp.
It is a classic.
Beautiful fish. So I don't like them when they get too big and fat and they've got the big bellies and they just look like they've eaten too many boilies.
Yeah. Which invariably is what's happened.
Actually what's happened.
What
boilies.
venue?
Don't know. Big rivers. I like big rivers. Like
Big River.
yeah, just where you Clarissa, like somewhere like the Ebro.
No, you can. Yeah, I mean, this is not kosher. But yeah, a big
or
river.
just a big open, vast bit of water. I like them. Like where
Orellana.
I'd love to go over there. At the bottom of the Atlas Mountains as well. I've climbed in the Atlas Mountains, and when you're up there looking down onto the waters down there, it's like, yeah, I'd love a crack on there.
It's that Moroccan one, isn't it?
Yeah,
What's it,
Sam Jeffries.
Ben Ayel. I can't say.
Yeah,
It's that dam, isn't
what
it?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Green's done. Joe and her fella, they've done a few trips over there, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had some nice fish over the years.
Fair play. Good answers. Message to female carp anglers. Your message to female carp anglers.
Can I just go back to the last one dead quick because I didn't pick the venue? Like if I could pick that fish up and
Yes, do that.
Acton Burnell.
Oh, good shout. Love it there.
Rob, my ticket, please. It is beautiful.
Looking at the camera.
Yeah, have you fished there?
Yeah, and you've got no signal at all, have you?
And there's just wildlife.
There's just deer rutting around.
Yep.
I fished it with
It's
Crowley,
amazing.
yeah. It's beautiful.
Amazing, love it.
So, sorry, I didn't add venue of choice because I don't really like them huts. But what was the next one? Message to female
Message to
anglers.
female anglers. Your message to female anglers?
Existing anglers, keep at it, girls. Keep at it. Keep living the dream. Keep loving it. You're doing a good job. Potential female anglers, give it a go. Give it a go for your enjoyment, for your mental health. Get out there because it's blooming nice.
Prime Minister stuff, this is, isn't it?
Isn't it?
There's a lot of life in that speech. I like it.
Yeah.
Ellen?
Mine's pretty much the same as Amy's. Like, just get out there, do it, enjoy it, you know, live for today, go out there, catch some carp.
Nice.
Mine would be just make sure whatever you do, don't matter what type of fishing, that you enjoy it, because there's no point in being there, even at the level that we're at. If you're not enjoying it and questioning why you're there, then you're in the wrong sport. You need to be enjoying it and not forcing yourself to do. It must be a pleasure to go.
Top work. Bev?
Have fun. Live for the adventure. Buy a map. No, on a serious note, I was just joking. I just wanted to get the buy a map bit in there. Have a go. Like, get involved. Like, say, reach out to these girls. Reach out to me. The Angling Trust do some like get fishing events, don't they? Where you can go and try like just actual normal fishing. I get a lot of people that say a message about coming to the Ladies Carp Academy, and I actually think you're throwing yourself in at a deep end with the Ladies Carp Academy. Like, although we do take complete beginners, you sort of want to have had a go at fishing before. Even just to have had like a rod and reel in your hand and understand the whole concept of it and how it works, and the fact that you put bait on the end of the line, like. But just have a go, rope your mates in. Like, so we had on one of the last previous Ladies Carp Academies, 2 ladies that came together, and one of them was more of a match style angler, but she'd done a bit of carp fishing, so she'd booked on it, and then she'd brought her friend who was on her hen do. So it was like she was having 3 hen do's, so she wasn't just her only hen do. But so one of her hen do weekends was spent with us motley crew at Garton on the Curve Lake.
She loved it, yeah.
She had a brilliant time. Who wouldn't? We had a fab time. It's
very hospitable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lovely place. And that's what it is. It's like, pick your venues wisely. Like, yes, all your Darrells, your Terrys, your Tom Makers, like, aspire to be those people, have high aspirations, but work your way up to that. Don't go out and try and sit it out for 5 days in the middle of nowhere in winter to sit it out for a 50-pounder. Like, it's not going to be enjoyable. Like, you've got to be hardcore to want to do that. So go to a lake where you're going to catch some fish, take the right clothing, take some food that you like, take somebody with you that you like if you're taking somebody with you, and just have a lovely time.
Nice, I do like that. Ladies, thank you so much for being so open, honest and sharing with us. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching and listening. I will no doubt see you soon with another Nash Off the Hook podcast. Until then, the Lionesses collectively, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.